Hi everyone, hope you're all doing great. And with me today is Mia, also Mia Geeked. How are you doing, Mia?
Hello. Hello.
Okay, so what do you say? We say hello to everyone in the chat and we get started, okay?
Yeah.
Okay, so
Hello, everyone.
hi Charlene, hi Scatter Terrain, hi Campaign Terrain, hi Earthman Brick, Questboard Terrain, and The Shiny Star Studio. Hey, that's a new name. Hope you're all doing great. So Mia, how about you tell us about yourself and how you got into crafting and gaming and stuff? Because I know you're a very prolific crafter, so really looking forward to hear about that.
Um, well, like I don't know, most people, I don't know where to start. I was in third grade, kind of third, fourth grade, when I was introduced to Dungeons and Dragons back in the early 80s. I guess that would be but we played a bunch as grade school kids, not really doing anything properly, more enjoying drawing maps and illustrating characters and building characters and writing stories. But then we used to live in California when I was in grade school, and then we moved here after seventh grade. So between seventh and eighth grade, we moved to Kansas City. And I didn't play much with anybody, didn't have a whole lot of friends at that time. And those I made, we were more into our BMX bikes, but as we get past high school, I'd already bought a bunch of games. I'd been collecting RPG books and box sets that whole time. And then I met some folks post high school, late high school, that were playing Rollmaster at the time.
All right.
They had been playing second edition D&D, but I joined them when they transitioned to playing Rollmaster, and we played that for a few years, and we played a bunch of Space Master at the time as well. We used to just do Theater of the Mind all the time. My friend, name drop, Eric Smutzler, used to game master for us. Um, but then in the about 1995, I stepped away to do kung fu for a number of years, and um, didn't really come back to the hobby until probably about 2012, 2013. And I had a friend. Actually, I apologize. I need to back up a little bit. I did play a couple of sessions of D&D with some other friends somewhere in that time frame. It's hard for me to think about 3 years ago what was going on. Um,
Yeah, 3 years is already
we
hard.
played some
10 years
D&D.
is
We
much.
played a bunch of third edition, I guess I should say, that was sneaked in about the 2000s here and there. But I was still doing kung fu, but um, and then that kind of fell apart about 2005, that group. And then I played, a friend of mine contacted me. He's like, hey, my stepson wants to play some D&D. Do you want a game master for us? I'm like, sure. And I had found DM Scotty's channel at that point and already crafted my purple worm, which I think is behind me. Can't really see it over that shoulder somewhere up there. um, but um, but yeah, that's really when I got hooked. DM Scotty, started crafting. My friend called, and then I was back in the hobby full time since like 2013, 2014.
Okay,
So
so I'm getting that crafting isn't something that you kind of grew up with, right? It's like something you found a bit later.
a bit later, yeah, I had, the extent of my crafting, as a young person, my grandmothers were crafty. My dad's mom was very, very crafty, sewing and making carpets and rugs and uh, curating antique museums and such in
Oh, well,
Weston, Missouri. She did that for a while.
all right,
In fact, my grandparents' home was on the old homes tour for a long time.
all right.
But my mom's mom, also very crafty, stitching, making like kitchen witches and all these weird crafts that she taught me to sew, and helped me sew a marble bag back in the day, which is now like my ginormous. I should go get it, but my ginormous dice bag. Um, And I use it for marbles and all sorts of things over the years. But because of their influence, my mom's mom, my grandmother, she was like, "Oh, let's make marionettes, this week, and let's do some sewing and make some puppets." And um, all through school, I was in arts and crafts, paper mache. I made some costumes with like paper mache masks back in the day, or stitched um, like a headless horseman costume that I made. Could barely see, surprised I didn't get run over on Halloween night. Like, where are my friends? Just kind of like trailing behind everybody. But anyway, I've always crafted in some way or another. So
Okay, just going to move your name up a little because Steve is telling me that it's obscuring your Instagram address.
okay,
That
no
should have
worries.
solved it.
The But yeah, with D&D crafting, I mean, it was DM Scotty all the way. I mean, just like I made all the tiles and made the purple worm, made the markers, the walls, the 2.5D and everything else. And then I discovered foam crafting and that really changed things. So that came, of course, through like Black Magic Craft and Jim over at Tabletop Engineer and
Hmm.
Wylock, and good old Bill and Muse, Vanessa or B Muse. Really liked her channel for a long time, so it's kind of crafted several of each of their things. So.
Okay, I see that Shadows of Arconia, Dirty Basement Terrain, and Lance Huntsman have joined us. Hi, everyone.
Hello, thank you for coming.
And I know that you often play on the Shadows of Arconia channel. You're almost a fixture there at this point.
Yeah, it's really interesting how that even happened because I'm not even. It just thank you everybody for bringing me along. I know I'd been a patron of Scotty's for a while on a couple of the channels, but I guess he put together some games for patrons. And one of the folks that was in the game I was with that Scotty ran was Steve from Shadows of Arconia. And that's where we met, played like 3 sessions with Scotty, and then eventually he reached out to me at some point. He says, "Hey, come join us." And we played some Hyper Tellurian, or maybe it was Dungeon Crawl Classic. I think it was Hyper Tellurian was the first time I was on his channel, like 2 years ago now. But that's the same thing, like through Scotty and other games that I've played with him over time. I met the dungeon matron, became friends. We've gone to Mace a few times together.
Lisa just joined,
And
Dungeon Maiden just joined the chat, by the way. Hi, Lisa.
yeah, just saw there. Hello. Hope everybody's having a fine Easter. Thank you for joining us on Easter. Y'all will be out chasing eggs and bunnies and such, but
And chocolate.
um, no chocolate tomorrow. I'm gonna get up early and go to Walmart. Excuse me for name dropping Walmart, and hit the clearance. Not that I need to eat any chocolate because yeah, as Karl and I were talking before the stream, no thanks. No more chocolate.
And we're also saying before the stream that those pictures you have behind you, the tree and the other side, that side.
Yes.
Okay, that's
Mm-hmm.
also your work.
Oh yeah, that pencil drawing that the Cthulhu there. That's a pencil drawing I did in high school. I mean,
Uh,
this is how bad and lazy I actually can be. Because like, have I drawn anything like that since high school? Not really.
have you sent me a copy of that in the drive, or could you bring it closer, maybe?
Yeah. 1 second.
Okay, take your time.
Pardon my form. Uh, camera.
Yep.
Where are you? Where am
Other
I?
side, other side.
Here we
Okay, yeah,
go.
okay, we got this.
Yeah, that was something I illustrated in high school. I've got several like pencil drawings from high school that I did.
All right.
This was my favorite. There was a paperback that came out with Robert E. Howard's Cthulhu Mythos stuff, and there was like this idol sitting on a pedestal, and that's the idol. Someone's painting that I copied, so
Okay.
to illustrate that.
That's some nice work.
I put it out specifically because I know all y'all gonna be like,
Oops.
uh, tentacles. All right, that's just how it's gonna have to be. Squeaky
Okay.
chair. But yeah, the other paintings as well. I had a self improvement project I had
Hmm?
to do for a job I had. And I had to do like a painting a week. And in
Oh, right.
2014, I did a whole series of paintings for the entire year. No, it wasn't the entire year. It was like one a month. I don't, yeah, anyway. But I did one painting a month as part of that. And that's the heart. And there's some like koi fish and like a strange sunny storm thing going on down there.
Right. Yeah, the concept of that being kind of a self-improvement thing for work sounds really interesting. But yeah.
Yeah, fortunately, I was allowed to do that year. The HR department totally changed their requirements the next year because I think a bunch of us just did stuff like that, art and crafts and
All right.
called it work improvement. It was more about time management and actually getting something done for me. So
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. Earthman Brick is saying that's not Cthulhu, that's cool Tulu. Love it. Questboard Train, very cool shadowing, and Dungeon Matron is saying Ethan says hello, Mia.
hello, hi Ethan. how's how's Brian?
Okay. Do you have any among the crafts that you built? And like I said, you are very prolific. You did make a lot of tabletop crafts. Is there anyone that stands out as your favorite, or you know, any particular one that you were really happy with?
Um, when it's really hard to say because like I copied basically broken terrain to make these various mushrooms.
Hmm?
I've still kind of putzing around when I recently just added some like lighter shaded flock. My thought being like maybe the spores are falling around it and making this lighter green, um, which is exactly backwards of what I've did in here. I put the darker flocking underneath with the lighter flocking
Okay,
around the
let me
edges.
get the
So just
let me get the larger images on screen so
oop.
maybe we can see them a bit closer up. And okay, the last ones you showed were these mushrooms, yeah?
Yes. I've I think I'm gonna hit those with a little bit of brown paint to darken out the big brainy bits
All
on
right.
top. Um,
What are
but
they made out of anyway? I mean, that texture on top
those
looks really
are
interesting.
most all of that is just pink foam.
All right.
I think almost all of it's the very small mushrooms. I've used just wooden dowels to create the stems, but just about everything else is foam except for the teeny tiny stalks that but yeah, just use my hot glue gun to melt in
Oh, okay.
and shape it out. And as I was like messing around with them, I started painting them up, and I'm thinking, well, some of those where I just kind of poked in a little bit, and you can see the little the hollow part of the gun
Like there's a
poking through.
little
Yeah, that
circle,
little
yeah?
spot
Yeah.
there. And I was like, well, some of these could be some sort of like insect hive that unleashes, stinging death. It's like, maybe I'll remake those and make more of those little yeah, because that one right there, as you're kind of panning it, yep, that one right there is a really good example of like maybe there's some larvae or insects crawling around inside.
Ooh,
um,
all right.
um
But I'm just wondering how many times it's like one hole, two hole, three hole, four hole. It would
oh
take a while.
it's just very monotonous, and just like do the whole time, and I hadn't bought like a decent mask to wear, so I basically just got a fan to blow any fumes away
Oh, all
from my
right.
wire cutter and everything. I've probably been, really fried a few brain cells along the way working with pink foam.
Oh, it's
So,
okay. I
but I
guess
did
it's kind of
recently buy a
an
decent
occupational hazard.
like respirator mask. So, it's like lean in on that smoke. Ah, be huffing paint in my early days. Not. So, But yeah, I really dig the mushrooms right now. I've always been a bit of a fan of mushrooms. I love the flavors and eating and just the looks of them. I have bought like some of the you probably I don't know if there's any in the photos, but these are like those ones you can buy at like Dollar Tree
Hmm.
or or whatever hobby store, and they're just glued to like dollar store foam core, with some flocking on there. It'd be like a really easy project for some
And I think
you
you had
know
some others.
somebody that's
Ah, here.
not into like tabletop crafting. Oh, I can make these cute little mushroomy thingies. Oh yeah, there was one in that photo.
Ah, here. Okay, I think they're closer.
Yeah, those are just those like, I don't know, like what do you call it, porcelain or like ceramic or
All
whatever
right.
they're made out of, that you pick up at I probably got those at Hobby Lobby. I don't shop there often, but sometimes you just got to get the deals. So, um, um, yeah, there's a lot of scatter train I need to work on. You say I'm prolific, but most of my crafting was like in that early, like the 2010s when I was just like rocking out all of Scotty's stuff. And
I,
and
I
sorry,
mean,
Scotty, most of that stuff has found its way into the bin, or I donated it to some friends because
the usual space management
I
problem, yeah?
yeah, I don't know. And like this, I really kind of overdid it.
In what sense?
As I look at this, I'm like, do I really need that many rocks? Do I really need that many
Eh,
ruined walls?
eh,
Uh,
it's not a
I
question
think
of
Meredith said
need
at
as
one point,
such.
if anything is worth doing, it's worth doing, the double amount or something. I forget what she said specifically on the Discord, but like, you know, more is better. That's kind of my philosophy too. So I could either have a tiny setup or just like spread it out freaking everywhere. So make something really epic, some tabletop war gaming and stuff. So
Yeah, I mean, for role-playing games, we tend to use a lot less terrain than we need for a war game, say. But yeah, I mean, this would fill an epic table for sure.
yeah, thank you. We used to do that was another part of the gaming with my buddies, like late high school, post high school. We played a lot of like BattleTech, and
All
was
right.
like, I really want some, and that was like my brain was like, I really want to build a BattleTech board, something fancy and big, and I'm thinking cardboard and all that stuff, and never did anything, but I thought it would all be really kind of cool, but you know didn't really have YouTube around back then to like discover some things, and didn't think about like Warhammer terrain instruction manuals and things like that. Would have been great fun for a BattleTech, but
Yeah, I guess.
played Starfleet Battles quite a bit. God, what a pain in the butt that game is, but whatever.
Really? How is that?
Um, because you would have your spaceship and he's like flying through space and everything's, you're thinking like real time flight. You can't do that, but like you would launch torpedoes, like a guided torpedo, and you would spend like it would have its own movement rate. The ships are
Okay.
moving at like maybe 2 or 3 squares or hexes, but the torpedoes are moving at like 6 so they can catch up, but you could steer it, and you're all these and you're like, you got torpedoes and you keep track of your torpedoes and your ship and more torpedoes, and like
Yeah, I can see that would
there
get
was just,
complicated very quickly.
yeah, tons and tons of stuff to like keep track of, all those torpedoes flying around. So I'd read a book, or had listened to a book on one of the road trips like to Colorado or something, but it talked about speed, battling at the speed of light and tracking missiles, and you saw where they were on the scope, but they're not there. You've got to anticipate where they're going to be. And yeah, very, anyway, sidetracky on my part. Thank you. So thank you.
Okay. Speaking of terrain, if anyone has anything that they want to show in the community showcase later, I am dropping the Discord link in the chat in just a second. Okay, one sec, because I
Yeah, I
happen to
looked over some of those earlier. That's some
I
fine work.
failed to copy that.
Everybody does fine work.
Here we go.
Starfleet battles is tough, but not at least it's not starfaring. I'm not familiar with starfaring. Starfaring. Uh, I'll have to look that up. So
Yeah,
Um,
I mean the
but yeah, I spent. I'm sorry. Go
no,
ahead,
no, no, please
Carl.
please go ahead.
I will ramble on and on. If you've got a specific thing you want to go ahead,
No,
get
I
it.
okay. There was a specific thing which I really want to ask you about. Could you tell us about this? Specifically, why
Um,
it's called
of-
Angry Puppet. I mean, it doesn't look very angry.
no. My thoughts is going back to my grandmother and making a marionette and things like that. And excuse me, I found that particular Easter basket
All right,
at a it may have even been Halloween. I forget which. I think it was Easter because it's got this purple grass that I bought at the same time. Um, Behind me, it's got a little light in it, but yeah, the idea is like I want to like maybe black blue the whole thing out and then like do weird little animated bits. I don't know if you ever someplace there's a another YouTube channel that uses a thing called a heckle fish, and he's basically animated on this puppet's face. So I thought I could maybe turn it into a puppet or marionette.
all right.
And being angry, it's got his brain exposed, and it'll have a little turned mouth with some fangs and little beady eyes. I just a bunch of cut out bits of felt, or maybe I'll just video it sitting there and then edit on the bits later. I don't know. And the marionette it because I want it to have like I could raise and lower its tentacles
All
if
right.
I wanted. Maybe add a body like a like a mind flayer body. I have no clue.
Okay, Scatter Terrain is saying I'm just in time for tentacles. Well,
But yes,
it's always time
tentacles.
for tentacles.
That again, that's an Easter basket I found years ago. Imagine that. So
Okay, and where'd you get the brain from?
I
I'm
think
assuming
the
it wasn't part
brain
of it.
mold, I don't remember where I picked it. That's like a jello mold for the brain.
Oh, all
Um
right.
I don't know where I got it. Maybe I picked it up. Maybe I mail ordered it, from one of those various sites, Amazon. Um, but I don't recall where I got the mold from. It's really funny. Is like I found some like silicone molds for like making ice cubes and I guess whatever in, but it's like brain shaped. Like I could use some brain shaped ice cubes. It'd be awesome. Add a little food coloring to the ice. Little purple brains floating around in your cup.
Man, I'm so happy we have the internet these days.
Absolutely. I don't know what I would do without the internet anymore.
Yeah, true story. But
Read. I'd
I
probably read
mean,
more.
think about it. 20 years ago, we wouldn't even have those things would not even have existed. Or maybe you could get them
Yeah,
in
yeah.
maybe one or two specialty shops out in the middle of nowhere. But
Yeah. Now everyone's like, could I get a jello mold that looks like a brain? And like, somebody does. Yeah,
I mean, there's enough demand to make it viable. So
absolutely. Like everybody's all about the Cthulhu right now. I mean, I shouldn't say right now, but good Lord, it's permeated our geek culture
oh
for a
yeah, totally.
while. So which which kind of brings me circling all over the place, that the idea of Mia Geeked as a possible YouTube channel is like I'm not specifically going to be building terrain. It'll be like, oh, I'm geeking out on a movie, or I'm geeking out on building some terrain or something. I'm gonna geek. It's kind of a catch-all
I
for
mean, but
everything
I
being.
mean, if you want to do your channel, you do your thing. It's like doesn't have to be one thing specifically.
Yeah, I do want to do crafting, but I just can't imagine you all work so hard to edit and build and put all that stuff together. I'm just like, I don't know if I have the patience. I did a bunch of video editing in like Vegas 3, back in the day. Back in the day. Back in the like early 2000s, when I was married. And anyway,
Yeah, but you're right about it because editing can be an absolute pain. Although, to be honest, as time goes on, I'm starting to enjoy it more. But you have to find ways of making it fun.
absolutely. And uh I need to dig up some of those old edited files I've done. I mean, they're so old. I mean, it was the early 2000s. I haven't really done much editing since. So, I mean,
Okay, let's bring this one up. This one looks really interesting.
Yeah, that's from my my lava board or volcanic board. I had I cropped it in nice and close, and there's some pictures further down where I've used it as a backdrop for VTT.
Ah, yes, I think I saw
Um,
that earlier. One second. Let me find
I
that.
should be yeah, everything's not really named.
Oh, here we go. This is the
Yep.
one, yeah?
Yeah, there's a whole series of terrain as VTT backgrounds there. Yeah, there's that one. Um, just using some additional assets from that I have on the VTT itself. You know, like a post-apocalyptic corrugated metal there, and some isometric uh, bits and pieces, and just throw them on top to give a very rough map
Yeah, I like
or
this way of
environment.
using terrain because I am mostly playing on online these days rather than in person. So it's nice to be able to use the terrain like this.
Very true. Very true. And I did, I've got some what I call lore stones, or I guess they were Runehammer's lore stones. I kind of copied his idea to make my
Okay,
lore stones.
seeing that.
And I use those like in the my very earliest goes at VTT use when COVID first locked us all down.
These guys at the top, yeah.
Um, Yep, those up at the very top. I used them as art in my campaign that I was playing with my two cousins and one of my cousins' husbands and like their best friends. It was kind of cool. You know, shout out to Mark, my buddy Mark. He's my cousin husband, and he kind of pulled us all together, and then that group kind of fell apart, but then he pulled us all back together, the current group that I play with, you know, me and the boys. We are we play pretty regularly. There's some other shots of them too, some BT stuff, but hopefully they don't mind if we get to it. But yeah, here's just a quick setup I did yesterday. There's a lot of out of focus pictures. I've got like the 6 foot by what 2 foot table there. Um, and yeah, just do some, you know, most everybody's seen a lot of that stuff on my Discord or on the Discord or on Dungeon Matron's Discord, or maybe yours, Karl, as works in progress. But
But it hits different when you see it all together like this.
yeah, yeah, I wanted to do a set. I was like, I rarely actually break it out and play with it. You know, it's like I make it and then stash it in a box like the rest of the stuff I hoard.
Yeah, well, I mean,
Excuse me.
that's the kind of table I love to play on. It's got all sorts of things on it. What was this? What's this? What's this? What's that?
Mhm.
And that
Mhm.
airship thing that is it an airship or a kind of sled or I know it showed us a while
It
back.
was for the campaign. Pick it up over here for the game I was playing in. Yeah, my cousin Mark and my cousins, we had started out in this village, and we needed to cross the mountains in the height of winter, and the pass of course is snowed out, but like the the gnomes that lived up north in a different town that was up north, had one of them had created this device. It has runners because it can slide on snow. Uh, the whole bit was they got up into the mountains and the cold air and trying to keep it aloft. It was, you know, it was like just high enough to like get and like drag itself up over the top of the mountain, right? So with the air and everything else. And they passed through like this area, like a cleft, I guess you'd say. Like there were two high peaks on either side, and they were going between. And the also, I'm gonna sit it back down.
Okay.
The there were some abominable snowmen up there chucking rocks and logs down at them that they had dragged up to a high place, and punctured the balloon so that
Oops.
the airship like came down hard on the snow. It was like it was literally at one of those points like it either rock forward or rock back. So everyone's like, rush to the front of the ship, you know, and they rush to the front and they just start sliding down the hill. So they go like in a big old sleigh ride, and as they're bumping along, hitting debris, people are flying off the airship or sled at this point. And the abominable snowmen are coming down and are snatching up everybody that's fallen off because of the bumps, and it turned into a big rescue mission. So,
Sounds in this.
so,
Okay, hi Trinitronics. Good to see you.
hey, hey, more people have arrived. um,
Okay. I wanted to
Yeah,
ask.
same setup. And like Jim over at the
Say.
tabletop engineer, he did like these foam core cut bits on chipboard, and that's
Mhm.
what the flooring is there. I did a bunch of tiles like his
So,
like some of
so,
the tiles he put together.
so we've got a base of chipboard, and then the tiles are individual squares of foam board,
Yeah,
right?
the dollar store foam, just hours just cutting it into chunks. Really what it is, I cut it, I actually stacked some on my and ran it through my Proxon and made long strips in various like widths, and then I
Mhm.
turned them sideways, of course, and just started feeding them through. So I mean, it was a quick cut, but yeah, getting a whole variety of sizes was fun, so, rather than
Yeah, I mean,
all the uniform bricks.
that's the way I do my foam bricks as well, because cutting them in any other way is just takes up too much time. Get a whole lot of them and
Yeah,
just
yeah.
cut them in batches.
I've got a couple of nice big stashes here that I need to get to work with, finish working. In fact, the ruins that I built here, I realized that as I built it, like the ones that have the windows, they all have the same turn. So there's no window on the right side of the
Oh,
turn,
okay,
but
alright.
everything's on the left. So I need to go back and make some with the windows switched to the other surface, uh, release. And I only made one door, so there's a bunch of those that I just keep building. It's like Legos. Growing up and like Legos being a thing.
Yo, the
And
Legos are.
just
I think most of my childhood was Lego. Lego is the most amazing toy anyone ever made.
exactly, and they try to be environmentally responsible too, as a company that makes a crap ton of plastic.
I mean, the thing with Lego is that that's never going to be. It's never going to need to be recycled. You don't throw away Lego. I mean, who throws away Lego?
Yeah, right. If they did, it's like you donate it to a store, and then the store's like, "Ooh, we got a bunch of Legos that we can overcharge for." So I still have most of the Legos from my childhood, so they're in a big box.
Yeah, same here. Apart from the pieces
Yeah,
that I've swallowed or stuff like that. Yeah.
oh gosh, get one of those little people heads stuck up your nose or something. I know my grandmother, going back to my mom's mom, she had made us one of those like big I don't know how big a cross it was, just a big cut piece of cloth in a circle, all stitched around the edge with a drawstring. You draw the string up and it'd be like 6 feet long. Like, what do you do with this? Then you'd wrap it around, you'd have like this ball of Lego in a big bag. It's like, thanks, Granny. I
Oh,
wish I still
all
had
right.
the wish I still had that Lego like rug, I should say, with the drawstring, because it was huge. So of course, I was much smaller then, but yeah.
Thing is that I still find Legos useful for some things. Like, for example, they're really good for mold making. They're the the blocks that are one thingy wide fit exactly in the slide of the proxen. So if you need to make an attachment for that, you can fit that very easily. I mean, they're super useful.
Yeah, I saw somebody do that with Legos, create a cutting guide. I'm like,
Mhm.
I need to dig my Legos out and do that. So yeah, thank you for reminding me.
All right. Still, I wanted to ask you about how you painted this because the lava looks excellent there, and I noticed that you've got the red paint going on the bottoms of the what do you call that of the blocks there.
Yeah, there's a folder called Lava UDT or UDT Lava.
Okay, let's
And
find it.
it's got some individual shots.
There you go.
Let's see. Yep. And the yep, there's the three colors I painted it with. Of course, it started with just a big piece of again, dungeon craft slash Professor Dungeon Master's bit. And
Dungeon pizza, yeah.
yep, Dungeon Pizza, the UDT. I just squeezed out all that paint all over it and just went to town with a sponge
Oh,
to
okay.
sponge it around. And
All right.
swirl it a bit and then get that. And then I hit it with a gloss varnish after I painted it all up. Um, and the again, following, keep name dropping all these channels. Stellarian Games did a lava tile just basically just like this. And I cut another circle and then cut it into its various shapes. And then I just
All
started
right.
hacking those plates up with a kitchen knife to really get it, sawing through it and chipping and pulling and ripping to get that texture. Um,
Very
and
good, yeah.
then base coated in the Black Magic Craft base coat, and then trying to like keep it all, like keep stack it and keeping the circle shape as I painted it so as not to lose my, I'm terrible at putting puzzles together, but
Yeah, because this only
yeah,
goes together
eventually.
one way, yeah?
Yep. And pieced it all together. It's all black paint, and then I dry brushed it with something. I hit it a little too hard with a dry brush, and but yeah, the plates themselves, yeah, I had just turned them up and I just kind of like nicked the edges with the same like red and yellow colors just to give it a little like underglow as best I could. Um, and yeah, and the first time I did it, I overdid the dry brush, so I went back and I actually hit it with a sponge and some, I want to say, pavement paint to like tame it down a
All
little
right.
bit. It gives it a little bit of a gray color versus black, so, which works for me, in the lighting. It looks, I like it.
No, it definitely looks awesome. The paint in between looks fantastic, and even if it's just one or two colors on the edges there, it really says the effect.
Yeah, thank you. It's hard to get a sense of scale for that, but that's like 2 feet across. That
Oh,
the
all
whole
right.
thing I used all. Yeah, I guess here in the
So,
States, Carl, there's I'm gonna say Home Depot, they sell a thing they call a project board, which is like I may have one handy somewhere, but like just 1 inch um XPS, the pink stuff,
hmm?
but it's 24 inches by 24 inches square, and it doesn't have all the Pink Panther stuff printed all
All
over
right.
the backside or front side. It's just got a sticker that says project board. Um,
Okay, that's convenient.
and yeah, very convenient, especially when, making things like this. And like some of the sci-fi tiles, when I cut the circle out, then I just use the outer edges that have the square corners to create the additional bits for it. Like I, spend all day cutting up those 1 inch project boards. So no, again, perfect for making just about everything. The big sheets are nice, but they're just such a pain in the butt to handle. Like
Like, you mean
and here in the
the
state, there's like blue foam from that I get at Lowe's, which is, it doesn't take texture very well. It's very rubbery and it bends really badly. The pink stuff is far better in my
right?
opinion than Lowe's blue stuff.
Uh, Over here, I managed to find some orangey stuff, which seems to work for me. I've heard of a shop that sells some other kind of blue stuff, but it's one of those mystical places that you don't get an actual address. You get instructions like turn left at that shop and then go past that church and then 300 steps beyond that office, turn anti-clockwise twice, and that I never actually went to look for that.
Yeah, that sounds like too much trouble. Like, please step up to the, yeah, no thanks.
Okay,
Um,
I'm guessing
yeah,
this.
the orange stuff I've seen looks like it takes texture really well, and like, yeah. Uh,
Okay,
oh, this is, yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
another UDT, I think, and this one looks very glittery.
Yeah, this is, I think, like the first picture in a series that follows this poorly painted batch of like former, what were those, Hero Clicks miniatures up from the Underdarks. Yeah, that's like an Underdark UDT with some like spiky bits, stalagmites, um, and their funky underdark colors. It's got some like pretty coarse sand on there, and I hit it with some like uh, glossy, reflective, metallic purples and
Ah,
stuff
okay, okay. It's not
to
glitter then.
really
It's
pick
the
up.
it's the paint. All right,
Yeah, it's the paint popping
nice.
off of the yeah. And yeah, they again, it's just the first in the series that I laid out
I really
of
like
them
the
like
effect on
weaving.
the floor as well.
Yeah, I think again that's the same colors as the other stuff, but just layered on really weird. I don't even remember how I did it specifically. Excuse me, I have spring allergies, my nose itches. Um,
It's okay.
but yeah, and then once that was done, I hit it with the gloss Mod Podge to like it's a little much. I think actually that's the matte finish Mod Podge on top
Really?
of
All
gloss
right.
Mod Podge to really it layers it up and makes the colors really kind of vibrant, but that gloss, the matte Mod Podge is glossy. I don't care what anybody says. It's kind of a semi gloss, I should
Yeah,
say.
definitely looks shiny.
Yeah, it all does. A bit much. I might hit it with some other colors. So yeah, they come up out of the Underdark and to this cave, just using my again um, tabletop witchcraft did a big video on his cave system with
Mhm.
magnets, and I basically duplicated that. But again, texturing things and tearing them apart the way that I like. The 6-inch tiles are I etched out roughly 2-inch squares to create the grid, but then I did it just like haphazardly. It's all wiggly and squiggly, but if you look at them like individually and from a distance, you do see the 3-inch like grid appear. But and then
I think it might be more visible in this corner here, for example.
yeah, you get a as it's there's no hiding, there's a grid on there. But then just kind of like the edges of the tiles, just like halfway down, and just kind of like tap 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 all the way down with the hot wire.
Ah, okay, so that's how you get that
I
jagged
think
effect then.
yeah,
All right.
to give it a jagged effect, and it's only like about halfway down the tile, um, just to give it even more grid appearance along those edges, but break it up. So um, again, hero clicks. I do not paint miniatures well. I've got a bunch of old school ones from the 80s that I painted
Oh,
that
wow. All right.
they look okay. Yep, they oh look, we've got some constructed bits. They're on their way up and out of the cave system, and they appear on the but again, you can sort of see where the 2-inch squares are there. They just
Yeah, yeah.
and just try and break those up, but keep it looking like maintain a grid without being a grid. Um, but yeah, the and those little pillars are a whole nother thing that I don't use very often. So,
This looks
and
like it
they
could be a great gateway piece for pretty much anything, especially if you can stand, I don't know, either make an arch for over the top of it or stand statues on that. It looks epic.
oh cool, thank you. Yeah, those are it's just pink foam again. The same size bricks just built in a spiral, so to
Mhm.
speak, and then a flat piece on top with the cutouts. I'm somewhere, but yeah, they emerged from the cave into the ruins here, and not much to tell.
Is the board you're
Like
using?
my friend who like literally everybody right before we're going on, and Lisa, you're gonna love this, but Shay, my friend Ashley, she's like calling me on the phone like at 2 o'clock, and Lisa's gonna have word with me about that later. That's fine. Are you busy today? I am. The last 3 days. Anyway. But yeah, the ruins, I had originally done those and they look I had used like a khaki color and I was like,
Mhm.
ugh. So when I made new ones, I just repainted the old khaki ones and I flocked them up recently, added some various colors, and then like the moss. I'd never done the moss technique where you make like the slurry with your flock and
Right,
glue,
like the
and
kind that's between these stones here
yeah,
and here.
yeah, and yep, those bits there. I had never tried that technique before. Gosh knows I've seen it done several times by various folks, but I thought I'd try my hand on it, and I did it to all my ruins and all the rocks I just recently made. Shout out to Dirty Basement Terrain for making rocks this year. I appreciate that.
I mean that kind of thing gets a lot of it because you don't get a. Otherwise, this thing would be mostly gray, but having that little color to break that up really helps.
Yeah, and mine was really damp, so a lot of it kind of I wanted to rub off any excess once it all dried, and some of it all just chipped off, but it left kind of a slimy
Like a stain,
color. Yeah,
like
like a stain. Yeah,
I
like it
think you
was a
can see a
green
bit of it
wash,
here.
but yeah,
Oh,
because the flock um, the color of the flocking leached out into the water and glue mix.
so
Um,
it does its job even if it doesn't do its job.
yeah. I was like, how do I mix this white glue and Mod Podge? I just in water. Trial and error, but it all worked out. It all worked out. Um,
Okay.
yep. And then just jumping out into the field. Again, I just wanted to do a quick setup of some stuff yesterday and throw some photos together, but um, since I never really get to use my terrain.
Yeah, just go to town and just use everything and see what sticks.
And I see folks do like the stop motion, and I'm like, I want to do some of that, but
Yeah, that would take a bit of time.
which going thinking about that going, I've always had a deep interest in animation, going way back, as a kid, wanting to do animation, and of course, Star Wars giving birth to the idea of like I want to be a filmmaker, and never really following through. But in high school, because I'd taken every art class I could possibly take as a senior, like you can take independent study to fill out your schedule. I'm like, good. So we actually did I did a Punisher animated movie. It was probably like 20 seconds long. We used to, I used a old film camera,
All right.
and with the individuals, like you would, you hit the clicker and take like one photo on
Oh,
the
wow, all right.
film reel, and then I would change photographs and didn't know anything about frame rates or anything like that. So I'm like taking pictures, and then I would put down the new illustration of the Punisher and then take another picture and put down the next picture of the Punisher. And he's leaping at the camera was the effect that I went for. And then doing some in-camera effects with like the zoom lens and getting a Matchbox car to come into frame and then leave frame, and you know but that was before like the real advent of video cameras, because that was, well, there were video cameras, but I certainly couldn't afford one in the 80s.
Yeah, I think that would have been beyond the budget of most. I don't. The household video cameras. I think they only came about in the 90s or the very late 80s. I think. Yeah.
Yeah, we were, when I was like third, fourth grade, fifth grade, one of the folks in our neighborhood got a VCR, and it was like, what is this
Oh.
magic? Yeah, one of those monster ones, like you could sink a boat with. You don't just use as an anchor. You could drop it from a plane and sink a boat with those old VCRs. Uh, but yeah, going back to like the idea of like wanting to do animation, just telling stories in general, like and long arc stories. Growing up watching like Speed Racer and all the crazy cartoons, but like the one that really kind of like sparked my imagination was like Star Blazers, where they take this battleship Yamato
Yeah, yeah,
and
I
convert it
remember that one.
into a spaceship. And you had your episodes each week, and they were episodic like everything, but it had a long arc, like they had to get from here to there and come back. And most TV shows as a kid just didn't have that, even that those early days of anime with a long story, and then of course Battle of the Planets, and just uh being in love with all that stuff. So
Oh yeah, it brings back memories. I mean, I grew up
mhm.
watching most of that stuff.
yeah, I can't get over it. It's like, wow, everything that defines me really came into play the like second, third grade, fourth grade.
I think that's
Unfortunately, we had one of those teachers who like introduced us to D&D. I was like, oh,
okay.
this is math and reading. Let's encourage these kids to play this game. Um, Completely clueless to the satanic panic, and the hobby shop on the military base. They had all the I wish I still had these. They were like these little, I mean, they were tiny, maybe like as big as my thumb. They were really small. I don't know what scale that is, like HO scale, but they were all like these maybe 10 millimeter. We had like armies, an army, playing
All
with
right.
army men. We had like the Australian army men from World War II, and we had, you know, army men from, it was just like these packs that came for, I guess, for war gamers, and I didn't know it as a kid, but we were just buying them up because they were miniature army men, and we had thousands of them. And I wish I knew what happened to them. So
Oh man, I mean, you'll probably not be able to buy them in those quantities today because it's not just the old ones. I think even the newer ones have gone up in price significantly.
yeah, because me buying those on my allowance, I mean, it was just yeah. I just wish I still had them because yeah,
Yeah, no, seriously. I mean, like, even I remember some. I did find some old Games Workshop ogres about 10 years ago, I think, in a shop, and they were from 1986.
oh yeah,
So
yeah,
the whole box was with the original price from 1986 was about £5, I think. The new ogre models wouldn't go for less than 25 per model, I think. So that price creep really came up everywhere.
yeah. That's like skyrocketing
Oh yeah.
prices. They're like Discord minis, is that her name? I think that's the name. She's always like, and Warhammer, and I'm just gonna do it, and just going on. I'm like, dang, she goes on,
Oh yeah,
cracks me up.
Discourse minis. Yeah, yeah. I like her
She
videos.
cracks
She's
me up.
very entertaining.
Yeah, she is very animated.
Yeah, animated is a very good
She
way
got a
to put
great.
it.
She's got a great editor. Good lord, too.
Oh yeah,
Her
yeah. No
editor is
kidding.
like, uh, yeah. But anyway, sorry. But yeah, back to the train. You guys, most of you who are in the audience that have probably seen these on the Discord as I was building them and painting them. Because yeah, I just needed scatter terrain, and I am a little bit behind on my list. So, and then just piling them up into a cliff face there. So
So those are
there's some spaces.
just individual stickers, and then you just pile them all together.
Yeah, some of that's 2 inch and some of it's like half-inch built up. So yeah, there's and just all stacked up in a big pile. There's a side angle shot that gets a really good
Gee.
shot or
Oh,
angle
okay.
on
Yeah.
it. Yeah, there you go. And there's another like battle board a la Ruin Hammers idea there at the
You
top.
wanted the brighter green one, yeah?
Yeah, the rectangular one that's just creating the final layer to the climb.
I really like this kind of
Um,
thing because I don't think many people use enough verticality in their terrain. And being able to do this on multiple levels is really, you can create some really good scenarios.
yeah, getting verticality into it is a lot of fun. And the problem, like having played VTT for the last
Hmm?
like years, it's like there's the verticality is hard to represent.
Just a flat map, yeah, that you're looking from the top down.
Yeah, so that's why I did those earlier today. I was like, I just really want to experiment, and I took some additional pictures of these without the minis on it that I'll be taking into my VTT. So hopefully, can use those as well to get that sense of verticality. So in the game, but the real hard part for me, I got to get to painting miniatures at some point. So
So,
yeah, and then the battle board there, again, some of those subfolders that are also that I put out there for you, Karl, just shows how I made that whole thing. And it's
okay, let me just run it.
basically it's called the Forest Battle
There
Boards,
you go.
Forest BB. Yeah. Um, you basically again following his
I think
tutorial,
this is
smack it
the
with a rock, that's the finished bit. But like you just cut the thing to a rectangle shape. I cut in the squares and then I beat the crap out of it with that rock, to
Yeah,
create the textures. So,
yeah, that looks like pretty aggressive texturing because usually when we're doing texturing with a rock or with a foam ball, it's like press, press, press. This looks like smash.
oh yeah, very a lot of fun.
Oh yeah,
I
and
think I hit it with a foil ball eventually, but yeah, the or maybe I didn't, but like I've tried using that same smash technique on like 1 inch foam versus this 2 inch foam
mhm.
and like even half-inch. But it's like as you break the tension, I guess what you would call the internal structure, and it starts to warp and bend and twist. But
Oh,
um,
this looks so much like chocolate cake.
right, very tasty.
Yeah,
Um,
the forbidden cake.
the it's yep. Um, I don't, yeah, that's just, I think that's like, I don't even know what color that is. That's probably a nutmeg. Yeah, it's probably not. No, it's not. It's probably burnt sienna. Hell, I don't even know what colors I use anymore, but
That's right.
just,
It's
paint the crap out of
some
it.
kind of brown.
And then, yeah, I sponged on most of the greens, with a little bit of brown showing through. It looks pretty flat, excuse me, in that photograph that we're on now, the green bit, and then
Some washes, I
and
guess.
then yeah, and then the wash really, I don't know, you know, it looks really matted in that plain green, but the wash just took everything, lifted it right out of the bit. But I keep looking at these things, and why I took a picture here is like I've done this already in the past, like brought in like the cropped out side of one of these pieces of the terrain as like a cliff face for VTT and
All
just have
right.
it blown up really big and have like the miniatures move along the vertical space on that. There's because there's striations and
I
all sorts of
I
stuff
think you
there.
also had a picture of something like this in a VTT down here, if I'm not mistaken.
Could be.
Let's see. We have to look at those maps later because some of them are really fascinating. I- Here it was.
Yeah, there we go. Actually, again, the same stuff we just looked at with actual miniatures on it, redone for some various assets piled on. Um, See, I think I'm going to continue to use like some maps, but photographs of my terrain, I think may start to really intrude upon the VTT world for me because I really kind of like the the feel of it. Like, hey,
Hey,
I made
if
this.
you've got them, yeah, you made them, you got them, so use them.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Which, yeah, going back to playing live, I've only had like the one game I've run live in a while with my group, and those were those big like 16 by 12 tiles that seem to be
16 by
well
12
received.
tiles.
So,
Which ones are those?
um, if you scroll, um, apologies. If we go, I think they're down towards the bottom. I think it's like
Okay,
in yeah, like
these ones.
actual gameplay photos. Yeah, they
All right.
start. Um, but yeah,
Uh,
that's the one you're hovering over right there. Is yeah, that same board.
okay,
That was
just in a
like
different
the
set.
first. That was yeah, my with my cousin Mark and family and friends. That was like the first session. Our session zero was making characters, and then I ran them through a real quick scenario to really whet their appetite for the future.
All right.
Of course, those are Scotty's trees. I still have those around here somewhere. Some more shrubberies and such
What are these
made with
strawberries? They
just
look interesting.
yeah, like this just aquarium plants glued to like I think it's just chipboard with more aquarium rock
Okay.
piled up and glued all together. Yeah. Um, some of the early photos, everyone's like posted on Facebook. They're like, why are you posting dog turds? I'm like, they're not dog turds. They're bases for plants. They're just brown and lumpy.
You have to exercise your imagination.
Yeah, exactly. Or like the first time I made flock and put pictures of it, people like, why are you putting pictures of
Of
that
media.
substance? And yeah, yeah.
I know,
But
right?
yeah, yeah. But there's the earth elemental. We actually some of Scotty's like winter tiles, the caulking on top of tile and then
All right.
painted. But that was in session. The wizard in the background had um, they had recently discovered that these blue crystals were like magic enhancing, and he comes out and he summons the earth elemental and chucks the blue crystals at it, and it like hulks out and turns into this big yeah, that was a really fun session as they were trying to. He was sending it at the town that our people were in to protect,
Okay.
and so but the Earth Elemental didn't want to fight. He was being coerced by magic. Um, but yeah, it was a fun session. I was like, I need to build an Earth Elemental again, following roughly Black Magic Craft did one sort of similar.
Let's see. Ah, here you go.
Um, Yeah, I was like, I have all this crazy offcuts. What am I going to do with all these crazy offcuts? And that literally all the that was pictured there. Those are the bits I made it from. And then just started. Yeah, the even the those little semicircle outer edge just up at the top of the photo.
Okay.
Yeah, to form the body, start plucking away and cutting and gluing together. Um, and he looks more like an ape as I went along. It's like, oh, he's kind of got a bent over ape shape, and I kind of ended up really liking that idea of being
I mean, it
hunched
kind of
over
it
like a
kind of makes
great ape.
sense for an earth elemental because you want that kind of weight and
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And he's like got that one fist down to represent that he's heavy. He can't just stand up straight. So, um, and then like most things when I craft, I do take a lot of pictures. So I end up with usually a lot of photos of the process, and then like, oh, feeling really good about myself. Look how awesome this is, and taking way too many pictures.
it's part of the process. I think that's
Oh
part of the
yeah, yeah.
process.
Yeah. And then trying to put little bits of white glue where the hot glue seams are to
Okay,
create it.
all
And
right.
then just a little smidge on his face, it just, I don't know. I feel like, that came out really well for a first try to make an earth elemental.
I think it looks great.
Well, thank you. It's suffered some damage. Some of those crystals have gotten broke off over the
Yeah,
last few
I was
years.
thinking about it because that's really a very fragile. They look great, but it's a with foam that's going to be very fragile. Whatever you do to it.
Yeah, I've seen folks use hot glue and shave it down, so I might pop those off and re-glue some hot glue, pin some hot glue on there as the crystals. So,
What I would use probably is bits of spruce, just shave them into
oh yeah,
pheasant
yeah,
pieces.
yeah.
Or what you could do is possibly is use foam, but put a bit of a cocktail stick in there,
Okay, yeah, the
so it's
really, yeah,
supported from the inside. Yeah,
uh, definitely good ideas. I just need to repair the poor guy.
this looks
Um,
good. This looks really good. I mean,
Yeah, I think again hitting him with that base brown, either nutmeg or burnt umber. There's the word I was looking for earlier. I think that was probably the lighter of the two shades. The the nutmeg. Good Lord, you'd think I'd been taking drugs or something. But I haven't been. Um, but yeah, I think not to pat myself too horribly on that. I just feel like the textures all came out and worked really well. So.
I mean here does look like earth and stone. This is really good. I mean, I think you could
Uh,
have stopped there and it would still have looked awesome.
Oh, well, thank you. I feel like it just I get lucky. Uh,
Still,
oh,
with all the
Lisa's.
colors on this looks really like a lot of fun.
Thank you. And the gluing the flocking on, I was just kind of like, do I do this or not? But as I got into it, like I really was getting into getting the flocking glued on, like he literally just kind of bulge up out of the ground. So some of that's the homemade flocking and that funky moss stuff. And some grass tufts I see. I don't think I'd actually bought like the powder fine flocking yet at that point, as much as I like the way that stuff looks. It just gets freaking everywhere.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, that was my grape ape basically. Pulled that out in the session. That whole session was really weird because he summons that thing, and then like they are fighting at it, and the wizard himself like turns himself invisible, but he's moving through the snow, so they're able to track his movement through the
To
snow.
the footprints
But he
and
was way,
stuff, yeah.
yeah, yeah, he was way far off, and like our barbarian slash fighter went charging instead of fighting the earth element. He's like, screw that, I'm going after the wizard. The wizard's like, so then the wizard cast like an illusion, so now there's like 4 tracks of snow leading away from where he went invisible at, and like, okay, you have 1 in 4 chance of picking where the actual, and my player picked the actual wizard. Like, okay, well, that totally changes things up. He's like bearing down on the wizard, and yep, the wizard gets his butt saved by another creature that he had nearby. So anyway,
Okay, one sec. No,
oh,
this looks really interesting, but I was looking at it earlier and I couldn't really figure out what was going on here.
yeah, the I wanted to like have the characters have the ability to move all around the town. Thus, I used those Monopoly pieces and some
Ah, okay.
chipboard and stuff to create the buildings, and then the meeples. It'd be great to have a 3D printer and replace those meeples with some better prints. But each of the colored meeples that aren't blue represents the player. Um,
Okay.
I think there's some like yellow, pink, purple, and so on.
There's a green
And
one up here, I think. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, and they got spread out. And the over on the other side on the tiny UDT represents like a section where they are fighting
Okay, I
something.
get you.
So I could like zoom in on the actual fight. Um,
Okay, this makes a lot of
and of
sense.
course the chimera, the fire breathing beast is not in the photo, but yeah, that I think, yeah, that just would represent the combat area.
Nice.
And
It's a very clever idea.
the beastie was on a stick about 6 feet high to represent that he was in the air, and then I had another miniature
Six
that
feet
was
high.
for him on the, well, 6 inches, I
Ah, okay.
apologize.
All right.
But yeah, 6 inches high. It's probably like within arm's reach here, but I might knock some stuff over if I reach for it. But
That's all right. Don't
yeah, it was
worry.
a fun session too. And like when I shared those pictures on the Discord, you're like, did you actually make tiny little wells? I'm like, I did. The little silver one, like literally like right in the middle. It's got a little top on it
these
too.
three, yeah.
Yep, they're just, like what they call those seed beads or pony beads. I don't know
Okay,
what they
okay,
call
yeah.
them, but then just a piece of bent wire just glued to a tiny piece of chipboard to create a well. So because they were forming fire lines to put out the fires and stuff, and yeah, coordinating it. It was a lot of fun.
I'm guessing this is
So,
the fire. These are the buildings on fire, yeah. The ones with the tokens under them.
yep,
All right.
yeah, those are the ones that are on fire. Yeah.
I like the idea of the monopoly buildings. I'm I never thought of painting them up. Let's put it that way.
The they were just a convenient thing. I was like,
Oh yeah.
nowadays I might like just hand carve some small ones out of foam or something. But at the time, I was like, I'm in a hurry. And I had found this big bag of them, like, I don't know, maybe months before the game, that I'd found a big bag of just Monopoly houses at like a thrift shop. I'm like, oh, I'll just take these. And, those random things you find at the thrift store. I'm like, good Lord. Um, Bits and pieces.
And it's a good thing to do to reduce the number of monopoly pieces in the world.
Hmm. Yeah.
Monopoly is evil. I mean, like that game is a terrible idea.
Yeah. Yeah. This picture, in the same campaign, and it's even the same world that I'm running now, but like it's from a module. I forget the name of the module, but there's a an undead king, like a lich, living beneath this huge cemetery. The cemetery is like 1 mile across. It's just big circular shaped cemetery, and it's got all these um can't see it there, but the white one has all the actual the individual locations within the cemetery. I covered it up for the big battle because there were hundreds of zombies,
Okay.
undead running around, and our adventurers had teamed up with a small army that the Duke was leading, and this is where our adventurers stayed together, and they were fighting the zombies. And somewhere else there was this other mass combat thing going on. So
Okay.
but this is just the isolated spot. We had a gnome. That's the gnome's little dog that he would ride on there in the lower right hand corner, um, and so on and so forth. But yeah, it was a huge battle. In the story of everything, the Duke went there to find a secret weapon that he could use to battle the wizard that had betrayed him. And turns out that was just rumors that that device was in the cemetery. Um,
Oh, okay.
but as part of the broader story, since they were looking for a magical stone, my players found what appeared to be a magical stone stuffed down into this old decaying tree. And all around the tree are like these giant graves. For giants, they were, I don't know, like 10, 12, I think I had like 10 big mounds where these
Ooh.
giants had been buried. And they saw this thing in the tree and they're like, hey, maybe this is what we're looking for. And they pop that puppy out of the tree, and that's the magic stone that is like weighing down the spirits of the spirits, weighing down the undead. The lodestone that was holding the giants under the
Oh.
earth, and they pop that
Oops.
out, and the giants start climbing up out of the earth, and it still has not, that story point has still not paid off. My current group is going to have to deal with those undead giants because they've come back to haunt the world. So,
Okay. I
but my players unleashed them in the first place.
I really like the style uh of the surface here. It reminds me of those. Have you ever seen Gary Chalk's illustrations for Talisman and the old Hero Quest and so on?
I don't think so. It doesn't ring a bell.
But yeah, most of the terrain was in kind of this style,
Yeah,
and
okay.
I mean it really has a good feel to it.
Yeah, that's just another UDT. I think like if I
Mhm.
flip it over, I'm looking around, it's like, is it handy for me to grab? No. Um, if you flip it over, well, in fact, it is handy. I mean, it was literally, no, that's not it. Never mind.
That's all right.
It From the other side, as you look at from it from the side and the top, it's got brick in it, and it's got a wooden floor for like
Okay,
interior space. And swear to God, there's one like right here, but it's not. Where the hell is it? It's up there somewhere.
that's all right. Don't
Okay.
worry about.
But yeah, those are, yeah, just for, again, using Dungeon Craft's idea to, like theatering around.
I mean, it is much more convenient than boards for when you've got. I mean, when you're representing a single area, this is much more convenient than big boards can be fun, but especially if you have several different scenes, then this is the best way to go.
Absolutely. And we were rotating houses to host, and I think I was at my cousin's place when this picture was taken, and her table is only like 3 feet across. A circular round, a round table like 3 feet across. I'm like, I only have this much space that I can use as a dungeon master. You know.
Yeah, I mean, the table size is one thing, but you've also got to consider you're not going to carry, all this across town. I mean, right?
Oh gosh,
No,
no,
that would be
right?
a bit much.
Kind of plan my scenarios, maybe take like 4 or 5 of those chunks with me, but not the whole set because that's like a whole tub full. Um, um, that again, going back to that same campaign, there was they had left the cemetery and we're heading up into the mountains to where the wizard's tower was. And along the way, there were some bandits, henchmen of the wizard, had set up an ambush in the mountains. And of course, we fought back the ambush, and they all retreated to a cave. And we're like, let's go finish them off. You know, my players being slaughter everybody. They went inside, and there were a handful of dragonborn chained to the wall that were being held captive that they were able to free.
Okay.
One of them, yeah, that's just some cave tiles. Um, that's probably, yeah, it looks like it was probably at my place because it's got the 2x2 table topper,
All
which
right.
is what's right behind me
This black
here. Yeah.
stuff here. All
Yeah,
right.
it's just a 2x2 piece of plywood that I bought from Lowe's or Home Depot and put table legs on, which you can't really see them back there, but table leg.
It's a small thing, but having that thing to elevate the playing surface and cut it off from everything else is also very useful.
Yeah. And I've subsequently bought longer legs and shorter legs so I can
Ah,
build
nice.
other things. So,
Okay, now this looks really intricate. Intricate.
yeah, this is that they are now in the Wizard's Tower. And they were battling the top UDT again, going back that same one you were pointing out earlier. Oh, it's got a cool green. That's the underside or the other side
Okay.
um, of the grass field, and they entered that chamber and had to fight their way through. And the exit on the left side of the screen leads into the bigger room below it.
So it's
Um,
from here to here, yeah?
yeah, to the far right side of that
Ah, okay.
flag. Yeah,
So it's
that's
here to
yeah,
here across. Okay.
here to there. Yeah, kind of a zigzag. Um, and that was a very heroic moment for the party. I mean, my players went absolutely crazy. They've been trying to get to this wizard for days and had kidnapped the Duke's baby, because he feels that the baby belongs to him because anyway, whatever, the whole backstory. But like the wizard he's not there. The portal's going to open, the wizard's going to come through, and he's going to take the baby. And like our players arrive just in the nick of time, and just as the portal opens, they're entering the room and they're like shooting arrows at people. Somebody dashes in and grabs the baby up. The wizard, he's all pissed off. He's like standing in front of the portal, and one of our players hit him with an arrow, critical hit him, and he like falls backwards through the portal. It was like he crit hit at just the right moment. It was like laying out. I couldn't have happened better if I'd actually
Boink.
written it that way. Like our ranger plugs in with an arrow with a critical. So um,
It's pretty cinematic, yeah.
yeah, that the I don't know. I'm sorry. I just feel like I'm just like,
No, no, I mean, I'm loving this.
but again, more UDTs. Some painted with a little blue paint versus I've subsequently like screwed it up.
Say
you
again?
know, oh, that's the same UDT there. I've kind of
Oh,
like
sorry, one sec.
dry brushed over the blue and it just washed it out versus how it would have looked originally.
I mean, you can always
So
repaint it, I guess.
I'll fix it. Yeah, I'll fix it.
One thing I'm really liking about this shot in particular is that you've got all these circular elements which you don't often see. But just having them stacked on top of each other like that, for example, it makes a really interesting scene.
Yeah, well, thank you. Yeah, I think like even Professor Dungeon Master joked about how I've got 100 of these UDTs because he's, I had posting pictures on his Facebook page. Like, yeah, I do have a few. I just like round things, I guess.
It's not an addiction. You can stop anytime you like.
Yeah. This same setting basically
Uh huh.
down in the dungeon on the right hand side is the dungeon, the tiles, and then the tower still on the left side.
Okay.
They ended up freeing I don't know how many dragonborn. In this particular setting, the dragonborn are very few and far between, And there's a magical event that had anybody had like that gene of the dragonborn or gene, some sort of magical dragon gene over a few weeks, kind of like, what's wrong with me, as they morphed into dragonborn, air quote that. um so yeah, there were these people who are mutating into dragonborn, and they had not been seen for 1,000 years, and something happened to bring them back. And anyway, this wizard had been gathering them, and turns out they find out that this is all part of like Horde of the Dragon Queen that I ripped into pieces and put back together. And they're taking the dragonborn and they're feeding him to an ancient dragon, um, revitalizing its health,
Okay.
so it will uh, plop out a few dragon eggs. So long story, the dragon, very ancient dragon's well past its prime, can't do that anymore, but it's eating these dragonborn. It's laying eggs, and like the cultists are taking the eggs away from the dragon, because they already have one of the pieces of the dragon mask to control, or dragon crown to
Ooh,
control
okay.
that particular dragon. So it's willingly eating all this stuff and willingly let its eggs go. So
Nothing
up
good can
until
top that.
we yeah. Up until we defeat the guy who's got the mask, and now the dragon's free, and it's like, hey, do me a favor. My eggs are in this subterranean cavern somewhere. Go get them. You know, bring my eggs to me. So, um, anyway, that was, yeah, we ended up getting the eggs. And of course, it was a blue dragon, the same blue dragon that saved the wizard during the earth elemental fight, because he had
Okay.
control of it with the crown. Um, but we go to get the eggs. There's like 3 unhatched eggs, and like, again, our big bad fighter. The other ones are like dragging them across the soil. They're trying to get them out of the cave, and the dragon's outside trying to bash its way in. And like, our warrior's like hugging this egg, and he's like, do 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 do, crack crack crack, and it breaks and
Oop.
falls at his feet. And this little baby dragon looks up at him like, okay. So the baby dragon bonds to this dragon born hero, and the ancient blue dragon's not happy. So, but she takes all of her babies with her. You know, eventually, as the story is told, that dragon should be rode by the hero that it bonded to. So,
Okay. Was the baby dragon calling the other dragon not mama?
oh yeah, exactly. The other 2 drags, we got the other eggs out there, and Mama's like, I got my 2 eggs, and we bring out this baby that's already hatched, and she's like, oh shoot, like nope, you're not Mama. She is, you know, the fighter standing there. Anyway, I don't know. I feel like, why am I talking so much?
I'm enjoying this. I'm really enjoying this. I mean, they're good stories.
But well, thank you. I just did not particularly like that, again, harp on the book, but like the Horde of the Dragon Queen, and then Rise of Tiamat. Decent kind of story, but just poorly put together. So, I mean, I shredded it, and like, even like DM Scotty said, is like, I've talked to him, and it's like, there's points in the book that's like, well, if your party happens to get a hold of a piece of the dragon crown mask or whatever, have it get stolen from them. You can't keep the story moving towards the climax of the campaign if the bad guys don't have all pieces of the crown. So it's like,
Good point. I see.
yeah, it's like your PCs win a piece of it, and then they get yeah, yeah, it's
The,
terrible.
the thing is that even with the best written modules, I don't remember ever playing a module as written. I will take it apart,
Yeah,
put it with something else, and stick it somewhere else, and I think most modules are more where most modules work better as ideas rather than complete stories.
yeah,
Because
yeah,
anyway, you're always going to have to adjust it for your players. For example, if a module requires you to have 6 players who are playing these classes, but you only have 3 players playing these other classes, then you're going to have to change it anyway.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Like, the rules are more of a suggestion, the modules more of a suggestion. Yeah. Yeah. It Yeah, I was gonna say I can't run a module straight as written. That's no fun. There's no fun for me as a dungeon master. It's like, yeah.
Yeah, and to be honest, I think sometimes do you ever see modules with things like it is expected that the players will do this, and I'm like, nope, you definitely don't know my players. My players would never do anything that sensible.
Exactly, exactly. There's always gonna do what's not expected. You know, literally, it's like, when you run, speaking like running a one shot, especially I've done so many now. I mean, not so many, but have participated in so many. But like running a one shot, it's like it kind of has to be railroady to keep people moving, and but yeah, otherwise you want to sandbox and let your players do whatever the heck they want. But one shot, you're like, here's your objective, go. You want to turn left? I'm sorry, no. So anyway, but yeah, this I liked, as you said, stacking my tiles and stuff on top of the
Hmm.
big it kind of like it pulls it together, and being able to do like two scenes on one big chunk of foam is uh, very nice and helpful.
Okay, just a question. What are these two, one or two sticks down here?
Those are just for measuring distance. They're each, what is it, one, two, three? Yeah, they're
Six.
30 foot. Yeah,
Ah, okay,
so
all right.
6 inches for 30 feet. Um,
Just take the
in
most
case we're
common
doing
measurements and
anything
stuff. Yeah.
gridless, yeah. In case some gridless play comes up. And my I had, going back to like the 2013 game with some different players, I had a hard time. I was like, there's no grid on this. How do I know how far? I'm like, I've got these sticks, but we don't need to use the sticks. I will, you will move, and I will eyeball it. Sure, we can eyeball it without freaking out. Then I get there, it's like my sticks only shows I can move this far, but it's 5 more feet. Can I just take the 5 feet? Otherwise, you're going to stand there and wait and not get your attack off. So yeah, like the
Yeah,
fudge movement a lot.
I mean, again, it's a rules are a suggestion, and you're doing this for fun. You don't need the dividers and the range finders and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Oh,
no, no,
damn!
no.
Those gargoyles look cute.
Those were from Dollar Tree, one of their Halloween decors that I Mod Podged all black and then dry brushed some gray on one of my mini um, um, in fact, I still have that circular bit here, but one of the circles I cut out, I just used the outer edge that was left
All
over and
right,
then cut some more to create a circular room that I could then set those up to represent the gargoyles being like on the wall, well, 10, 12 feet above their heads,
all right.
but, maintain some. Um, and I'm trying to, this was of course, I don't even remember what happened there specifically. Some of the gargoyles were like, living gargoyles that would attack, and some weren't. But there was also a puzzle. You had to like turn that central bit. I think there's like a compass rose under there, like a necklace bit that
Yeah, I think I can see the. I
DM
can't zoom further,
Scotty
but I can
urn
see
is
something. Yeah.
sitting on top of. Yeah. And they had to like, there was a pedal, they had to press the pedal and rotate the stand, and then the whole room would shift, and then like to open up a secret passage. So yeah, that's a whole bit with that. But of course, then the gargoyles start hopping down. If you didn't get the combination correct, the gargoyles would spring to life.
Okay, Dirty Basement Terrain is saying, with modules you also run the risk of metagaming if any of the players have read the module. Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely, yeah, yeah. And you get those folks who just want to buy every book that comes out from a particular publisher and read every book. Like,
Why?
and then you're like, as a GM, you're like, hey, we're gonna play, Horde of the Dragon Queens. Like, I already read it. Oh,
Campaign Terrain is saying, heck of a glow up from a wood circle to a beautiful brazier. Yep.
oh, absolutely. Again, going back to DM Scotty, like just laying on some, cut up cereal box. So, and then painting it up. So,
Yeah, I mean, seriously, DM Scotty should be on the World Heritage list.
Absolutely. We need to protect him at all
Yep.
costs. You know. Oh, here's the what I was talking about, the Yeti, the abominable snow people, um, snatching people that were falling off the sled as it went crashing down the hill, so to speak. This is their cave. You know, use some like troll minis to represent the Yeti, and they had a couple people captured
Okay, I see
and
the
leave it.
candy as well. Good choice.
Oh yeah, it was. Look, it's around Easter. The whole Easter card even. And then, of course, I've got some plastic pirate coins that are stacked up over there that the players actually can use and spend. Use it kind of as inspiration. But the funny part is that they went like hauling butt to get to this cave, but then the players are all like, "Who's going to go in first? Should I go in first? I don't know if we should we just barge in?" And I'm just sitting there thinking, it's like, okay, the longer they take, the more people that are captive are dying. So they eventually come into the cave and they hear a scream and like, oh shit, pardon my language.
It's alright.
Someone's getting mauled in there. So they move a little faster. And it's like if you guys had like come into the cave immediately and just said, go get them, then no one would have died. Since you took your time, the alpha Yeti came in and started chewing on people. So it's like, if you had not taken the time, you could have saved everybody. Of course, and the whole emotional tie is like there was this engaged couple. The inventor of the skyship, his son is engaged to this woman, and she was like the first one to fall off when they were sliding down the
Oh
hill.
no.
So husband jumps off to go save her, and they're the two that get snatched up by the Yetis, and we go there to like rescue her and him. And I had her get killed by the Yetis.
Oh,
And my players were so mad at me
it's not
because
your
we
fault. It's
spent
their
like,
fault.
I don't know, yeah, all their fault, because like the whole setup, and I knew she was gonna die either way because I set it up that way. She was the one that was excited about it. Word had started to spread about the heroes that were in the southern town, and she's like, "Oh, I was looking forward to meeting you. They said you were here," and blah. And I spent time in character talking to each player and complimenting them and getting their love and affection. And they're like, "Oh, she's really sweet. We really like her," and then killed her.
Okay, so she was basically the Agent Coulson of your game then.
Exactly, exactly. So, the players are like, "Oh," so of course they rescued the husband. He had gotten bit and he was bleeding out on the ice, but they were able to get to him and tourniquet his arm and save his life. He's like, "You should have let me die." But, why didn't you come sooner? Anyway,
And just pushing that guilt complex kind of thing. Yeah. Rub it in.
exactly, exactly. And of course, like going back to the game, the two giant D20s representing target numbers, like roll Runehammer
Ah,
does
okay,
with
okay.
targets. Like the Pudley Yetis are 13s, and the Alpha Yeti being the 17 to hit. So
Right.
uh, putting those out there for everyone to see.
Yeah, I was going to ask about the effect because those things look huge.
Yeah, they're fist size. I'm looking around. I think they're all over there. Yeah, you hold them in your hand. They're about that big.
Yeah, they're not for rolling.
Yeah. Yeah. I used to have when we used to game with some buddies, one of the guys would fall asleep on the couch, doing theater man all the time. And my friend Mick running the game, and his buddy would fall asleep, like be there, kick back. And Mick would wing a D20 at him to like snap him out of it. I'm like, this is the D20 you
Regular size one.
needed, Mick. Yeah, a
Right.
regular size one. Like, you need one of these to concuss your buddy, you know. Put an eye out, break their orbital. Oh, my head. Oh, anyway.
Okay, and this. No, these aren't
Oh, and
deities.
here are
Oh,
those. Here are the recent tiles. This is the first live session I'd run in a long time.
all right.
These are those 16 by 12 tiles. There are werewolves. The two guys in that room there in the little alcoves, those are werewolves. They're supposed to be. We have a player who's now a werewolf,
Okay.
and some guards, and there's a whole lot going on there.
Oh wait, I know. I think I know this
Using
set. All right.
Yeah, you guys have seen these. Again, I used some chipboard to create those in the illusion of stepping down um,
I think that's
to the lower levels.
why looks tricky, yeah, with the stairs.
Yeah, I think. But yeah, there's some more stairs there.
I like how you're using these covers for the. I'm guessing they're unexplored areas or unlit areas.
Yeah, my for the Fog of War, I have those cutouts here somewhere still.
I think
Um,
there's another picture. Ah, here. I think this shows them better.
yeah, yeah, as they progress deeper into the dungeon. Um,
I really love the textures on this one.
oh well, yeah, thank you again. You guys all saw those on the Discord, so but they and just just messing around, trying to figure something out. The We were gonna do our first live game. We've done some live games. Some of my players have run some one shots for us. But they're like, hey, let's get Mia to run a live table for us. I'm like, all right, I need to put these tiles together in like 6 days.
What?
Yeah, I had to bust my hump. I was like, what am I going to do to make this session special? What am I going to make this session special? So I'd already planned this encounter for on the VTT, so I adapted those maps and had to.
Ah,
Uh,
okay. So the VTT maps came before this.
yeah, and there's a
All
picture
right.
of the VTT map somewhere in this stash of goodies we're looking at. But
Yeah,
uh,
we'll get to that in a second. But question: what are these reddish brown tokens here?
those are Scotty's corpse markers. They're just washers with what is it? I want to say foam, but it's not
One,
foam.
two,
It's
three,
like a
four,
latex
six, seven,
sculpting
eight, 10, 11. All right.
stuff. And I just gooped it on there and spread it around to give it kind of a gooey look, and then hit it with some red paint and gloss gloss medium
Okay.
to make them look gory and bloody. Um, so
So
anytime any
is it like when you down an opponent, then you can put a marker there so you know where to go to search the bodies and things like that?
Yep, and
All
then
right.
I can recycle those minis that
Ah, okay. Yeah.
elsewhere.
Oh, I
Yeah,
didn't think
but
of
yeah,
that. That's
those
a good
are
idea.
again one of like Scotty's corpse marker craft.
It's a great idea. I'm seeing these 4x4 plus 4 buttons here.
Those are for health potions if they find any. I just keep a stack of them handy
Ah,
so I
okay. You
can
hand that
toss
out
them at
and nice.
hand them out. Yeah, and those are ones. Yeah, that way each player has like, oh, I got a 4d4 plus 4 health potion, and that just kind of goes into their personal stash that they take home with them, with their miniatures and dice and stuff. So when the game starts again, I'm inventorying their magic items. So,
It does make a lot of sense, and it's easier than just looking them up on a list, raising them, rewriting them. Just hand out the token, get it back. It's a good idea.
yep, and get it back. Mm-hmm.
And here we go. And
Yep,
I think
that's
this is
it
the
right
VTT map
there.
you mentioned, yeah?
Yep, that was the originally set up. And then they're like, hey, let's play live. I'm like, okay.
Now I have to
And that
redo all
map
this.
itself is sorry, that map is from a download I got off like Drive Through RPG. They were selling like 1,000 maps for $15 or something
All right, that's good.
ridiculous. But yeah, I tried to recreate that whole thing floor plan wise with some changes. So it's got that kind of like brick outline along the
Uh-huh.
walls and then like dirt on the inside. So just wanted to like do my best to replicate that. Um, yeah, subsequently went back and I had that on a laptop next to me. So I had all my uh, while we played live, I had that map up on my laptop. So
Yeah, I
um,
remember. But when you were doing this, I remember I had posted some pictures where you were actually doing the layout and stuff to make sure everything lines up. Uh, that part seemed to be as complicated as the as actually carving the rest of it.
yeah, because the map itself, the split down the middle would have cut through some of those rooms. So I had to shift things over a little bit, shrink a room, and so on. Shrink some space between rooms. But yeah, um, very meditative, cutting in all those bricks and then cutting away at stuff. So very nice. Um, the the pillars there are just some of those like wooden spools you can buy at the craft store.
Okay.
I glued some washers on the bottom that were slightly bigger to give them some heft. Um, and of course the braziers are a whole thing too,
They're
based on
the
one of Scotty's
yeah
designs. Yeah.
tea light braziers.
Yep, absolutely. And then some actual like Bones 4 miniatures, I think, up in there. So
Yeah, and the sarcophagus and the stuff. Yeah, nice.
yeah, yep. That was it was a good time. And my players were like, yeah. We haven't actually had a session since then for that game. And it's been, weeks and weeks, maybe a month or two. We're just having trouble. I my Typically we play on a Friday. This session I think we did on a Saturday. And since we tend to play Friday nights, and since I've been doing a short campaign on Shadow of Arconia for the Cyberpunk Red that we're playing, I haven't been able to like do a Friday night with my crew for a while. We've done some like other stuff. And Karl, my apologies. Can we pause them? I need to step away to the
Oh, okay,
bathroom. I
please.
hate to do this to everybody.
For sure. Let's take a few minutes and come get as soon as you get back. Okay.
Yep, thank you.
No
Sorry,
worries.
I'll be back in a moment.
Okay, one sec, and be right back. And we're back.
And we're back. Yes, with a view of that layer again. Story being that in the town that this party's chilling out in, there's some dwarven ruins that are buried beneath the ground, and this just happens to be part of it that has been overrun with a cult, and they are turning the locals, they're kidnapping locals and have them bit by a specific werewolf to enslave them. So, and yep. So everything's moving right along with them. One of our players got bit as a werewolf too.
That one you mentioned
But
earlier.
yeah, he's the big white one, like right the center bottom there.
Oh, that is a big one.
He is one of the player characters has become the white wolf versus the black wolf, the like the yin and yang of wolves.
Okay.
And
I'm also seeing that you have
I'm
these
sure,
props around the table, like the skeleton hand here and the skull over here.
yeah, that skull is like based off of again another thing, Scotty, when at Mace last fall, and yeah, in the fall, we were playing his worm food one shot, and he had this basically the initiative tracker, and his has like reptilian eyes in the sockets, which were just too creepy for me, kind of yellowish
Right?
reptilian eyes. And I'm like, I'm just gonna stick a couple gems in there to give it kind of rather than, and I still need to put the gloss varnish on it to really grease it up. But yeah, that was just there to like kind of be a freaky mood setter. And the skeletal arm, I think those were like back scratchers from the Dollar Tree during Halloween time.
Right?
And I was using that as like initiative trackers. Like I would hand it to the player who was up. And the idea was that like instead of having to like reach all the way out over the board, they could just sort of point where they wanted to move their miniature, and I could, move things around. But that didn't last long because things got silly with the hand. Like the Monty Python bit, it was the salmon moose, that whole thing coming up.
Okay, let's see.
But yeah, those tiles, I think Nick, if you're out there in the chat, you really enjoyed that.
Okay.
Yeah, please just click on anything. I'm like
Okay.
looking here. There's a,
I wanted to have a look at these sci-fi tiles because these are also some. It's a pretty impressive table as well.
oh, well, yeah. Again, thank you. I don't even remember the inspiration for that. I was like, I need to do a sci-fi UDT, dungeon pizza. So I ended up just mm, figuring out what I was going to do. And then I like, oh, I'm going to add some squares and I'm going to add some hexagons and and just went to town. And the like alien space marines plastic toys, I don't know when I got, I've had those for like over a decade or more. I don't even remember. I think I ordered them on Amazon. And yeah, I just thought I'd do a really quick setup so I could get a quick photo, two or three of the bits. Yeah, and there it is. The again, the 2 foot by 2 foot project board was cut out to create the central circle, and then I had cut it in a bit so there were those outer pieces, and the outer pieces are what you can see in the foreground or in the extreme background.
So those just fit into
Um,
the circle, right?
It just, yeah, because I
All right.
cut that center circle out and then I sliced off the corners to give them kind of, yeah, there's a better picture coming up that you get a sort of shot of them, but
All right.
like the whole table, yeah. Um, and they're just kind of like to fit on the side to create additional bits, and then chopping up other chunks to fit against the circular part to kind of meld it all together. Color wise, I don't know. I was like bronze and gunmetal will work, and that's what I went with. I don't, I mean, and it's got a black wash on there. The under part is like an off white to kind of give it that Nostromo white that
Mm-hmm.
you see throughout that movie. great for blood spatter because white and red just meh. So
Okay, I'm guessing these bolts are also with the hot glue gun, I guess.
those I used a ballpoint pen.
Oh,
I was
alright.
gonna say, yeah, I used a ballpoint pen with the, of course, the point not extended, which just sometimes I'm like, that's a good one, and then just get overzealous and crunch. Oh, that's like, by scale, like 3 inches deep. Just get a little too excited and punch those holes a little too deep. And sometimes the density of the foam's a little less in some spots, and it just crunches under the weight of my gorilla fists. Yeah, just trying to add some texture to the bottom edges and stuff yeah, good times.
Ah, I like
Um,
this one, and I could see it being something like apart from a sci-fi setting, the colors also would work really well for some kind of steampunk stuff.
yeah, yeah. It's kind of was the idea being that it could work as either science fiction setting, the steampunk or
Uh-huh.
the future, or some sort of industrial setting of any sort. Um, I've still got stuff I'd like to do to expand on that.
Oh.
And there's the ones with the hexagons, and then just kind of building the whole thing. And just I bought that. It was a Dollar Tree thing, the hexagon,
Mhm.
and it um, just went to town, tracing it out on all those boards and cutting them out with my knife to create a bundle of them.
Right, yeah, I see
And
you've
then
got also got a stack of them down the side here.
trying to figure out how to fit them all together and making weird turns. And the idea basically, like, the outer edges are like the walls and the interior spaces are accessible through panels, or you know
Ah, okay. So,
um,
for example, in this one, you can only walk through this way, where those
uh
connectors are.
yeah, those would be like hall connectors where maybe like a bulkhead or a door is. Um, and the even that's like debatable, they think about it, because like the walls themselves could just be like blast doors, heavier doors, but
Hmm.
I don't know. Like, they can't get a good solid turn, so in some of them. But yeah, I think those were early days with the craft meetups on Dungeon Matron's channel as I was working on those. So um, um, yeah, plenty of those. I've even got small versions of those flapping around here
All right.
somewhere. Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, I don't think there's any photos
Hang on.
on the drive, but I've got a whole bunch of like
Oh,
these
there's a
that
nice.
I've made of it that can interconnect at weird angles, or let me see, having trouble concentrating here. They just kind of fit nicely together in any direction. You can get like the linear part of
Hmm.
the connection this way. I'm having difficulty,
That's all right.
or
That's fine.
rotation, like just slightly to give it a bend. And they fit nicely. They're they're those like wood bits with
Oh, all right.
dollar store foam glued on top, and then just etched and whatnot. A
Nice.
little bit of foil, munch munch, and the ballpoint pen trick again.
Oh.
And I got a whole slew of these. A whole slew of these.
Again, I mean, those could set up a nice table board or whatever. You could really fill an area with those.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, but let's move on to your virtual tabletop stuff because there's some in here, and I don't think we've had any of these on the channel before, even though we are using quite a lot of virtual tabletop these days. So this is one we saw earlier, yeah?
Yep, that's one from earlier. Again, the lava board, just I take that high res picture, or just ginormous, and then cropped it way down. Um, and then some other bits from the VTT provider that I use.
This is Roll20, I think, yeah?
Yep, Roll 20. Yeah. Um, And then this one again, just picture slightly higher angle on the cave tiles, and again more assets just thrown together. And as we proceed through these, I've recently switched up how I'm using the VTT. We'll get
Okay.
to that here in a moment as we scroll through these. Uh,
Are there any
the
special considerations that you need to take into account when you're photographing for a VTT, for example, to avoid getting too much perspective distortion or something like that? Or do you
Yeah,
just take the photo and go?
this photo specifically, I set all this stuff up and then I just took a bunch of pictures from all over the place with no thought as to using it in any way other than just to take pictures,
Okay,
and framing the picture what looked nice in the camera, and then going back through all those pictures and finding one that worked really well for it.
makes sense.
There's some that I took literally straight from top down. They just don't work. I like this kind of like
No?
semi isometric angle to it so you can get some height and stuff. And then the walls aren't so high that you can't,
Yeah, I
show
see.
something behind them. So,
Okay, there's
yep,
the cliff face from earlier.
yep, same. And then,
Okay,
yep, the same ruins, almost very similar shot or perspective. And then using scaling of the VTT assets to like try and create some foreshadowing. Um,
okay. So we've got
but,
literally the only thing you've got showing distance is the scale. All right.
yeah, how the floor itself with perspective shrinks in distance and then trying to squish the dude down to make him sort of fit the scale. um, that's something I've been really kind of playing with more recently. I went online and found a bunch of, like, I guess it's like one of the Alien video games,
Hmm?
and they got some screenshots of some destroyed space station. I like, oh, let me borrow those for a second, and I've been playing around with placing the tokens on those maps and see if it might work for future gameplay.
I think it's kind of fun because you're basically making a collage of all these things.
Yeah, yeah. This
Okay.
is a map I created in Incarnate.
All right.
Um,
You like those
the
textures?
and the idea is that there's this high cliff set temple, and the heroes come in and there's a bunch of fires taking place. All those orcs and stuff are on the um, GM's layer, so they're slightly transparent. They're not 100%, um, but yeah, I found the map online and I just duplicated it. Somebody had a hand-drawn map and I didn't want to actually use that. I was like, oh, this incarnate thing's kind of new to me. Let me see if I can't replicate the map. So I just kind of built right on top of their illustration. So
I haven't. Sorry, I heard out about Incarnate. I haven't had a play around with it yet. But is it specifically a map making software, or is it like more like a drawing application?
it's map making. They've got like a parchment map deal and like realistic map, and they've got some
Okay.
stuff that is in kind of an isometric view if you want to do that sort of thing. It's all like just bits and pieces, like building with Legos again, and like, oh, here's a door, I'll stick it here, and here's a roof, and so on.
Yeah,
I like the cliff faces and things.
there's kind of a that theme going on today, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. And then
The
same map
interior view. Okay.
where yeah, I had the roofs, and then once they entered I could pull the roofs off as, again, they were just tokens on top of the game surface. So um
Nice.
yeah, it's
So it's
one of
just
the
literally just layers and
yeah, there's, Incarnate uses layers, so you could like put things in stacks and hide things behind other things, and then it's actually quite functional. It works really well. It gets some of the assets are more realistic and some are very cartoony, and they're finally getting some sci-fi assets brought together. Looking forward to that. So um And there's like a paintbrush. You can literally like the trails in the background. The ground itself is all kind of painted on with paintbrushes in that program, like
Okay.
like in Photoshop or something, and then plopping assets all over the place.
And when you import them into Roll20, is it like do you import layer by layers, separate images, or can you just import here are my layers?
Yeah, I just incarnate exports as a single file, like a flat PNG file,
All right,
and then I can chop it and just bring it in as just a flat map. Um,
I see. All right,
so
nice.
in the roofs and stuff I did that were liftable were drawn in incarnate. I just chopped them up in like
Yeah,
GIMP.
no, this is
Oh,
huge.
yeah, this one's really big. One of my players, Dustin, shout out to you if you're out there. He bought one of those like super wide curve monitors, and he told me, he's like, what specific dimensions are you displaying at? And I was like, I tried to make a map that would fill his entire screen.
Okay,
um and it is again using incarnate's isometric stuff to build this and some other flat stuff, but um
this looks good. This
to
looks
throw it
really good.
together. Oh, thank you. And a bunch of stuff, again, assets that are in Roll20 to pull over, and some other weird stuff too. um
What are these red dots all over the place?
Um, we're looking at the screenshot from my GM screen, all
Hmm.
the red dots are all the like spiders that are running
Oh
around. I gave
whoa.
Yeah, I put little red dot. They've got an aura that only I can see so that I could keep track of where they are. There's so many of them that and they're so small that again I put the little red aura on them that only I can see. So on the GM's layer, or from the GM's point of view.
Yeah, that's also spiders.
Uh, yep, and then
Lots of
um,
pit traps
and
as well.
then
Yeah.
yep, and then on my GM's layer, you see all those like little tags. I make those tags that say Spike Pit DC 13 to find it and what its damage is.
Ah,
I got a
that's
whole crap
convenient
ton, and
because
pardon me
yeah,
again.
because as soon as
Yeah,
you need it, it's over there. Yeah.
yep, I make those and they're dropping. They're on Roll20, and it's like, oh, I got a secret door here. What's the target number? I just pull out one of those tags and stick it on there. So as a note to
Yeah.
myself,
Hidden
they'll see
doors.
again how I'm evolving that in some later pictures too. Sorry, go ahead. Sorry.
Ah, I see. You've also got the same thing for hidden doors and stuff. Nice.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, this
Yeah,
is ginormous.
it's huge. Yeah. And that's just the screenshot from on my computer screens, spread out. The actual map itself is like super huge. I mean,
Oh,
way more detailed when you actually, and having to crush it down to fit within the dimensions of Roll20, and making it usable. But yeah, the actual image itself, I'm exporting things at like 8K
oh, whoa. All right.
from Incarnate these days, and then just lots and lots of detail, and then like reducing them in size and like GIMP and compressing them a little bit to actual use. Um,
Okay, and this is a close-up of one of the areas on the other one.
yeah, I've got a nice close up here. Um,
Look at all the spiders. So
yeah, this is like when,
is this like Fantasy Australia or something like that?
I'm sorry again.
Is this like Fantasy Australia or something like that? Because of
I
all of
think
the
so.
spiders, yeah.
Yeah, the on their way there, um, the druids in the area, the wood nymphs and stuff, are like, don't go, it's dangerous. But if you do and you clear that castle out, if you promise to clear that shit out, then we'll give you safe passage through our land. So they had to pass through the lands of these druids, or dryads, I should say. And they went through, and you see here there's like yellow squares on
Ah,
some
yeah, I
stuff.
was
those
wondering
are
about those.
those are grasping vines. Yeah.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Ah, so they're highlighted for you, I guess, not for the players.
Yeah, so yeah, I know. Ooh,
Ah,
though,
okay.
if they get too close to those will grab them. Um, and the players really went in on this one. I think our Bard like flew for the first time,
Hmm.
and some other stuff. It was kind of a nice fun setup. um, yeah, it was a good time. And it's,
Oh, Token She said, missed the shout out. White Wolf checking in, Mia. I remember that map.
oh, okay. Mr. Shout out. Wait, okay. I don't know who that is. I remember the
I think
map,
it's
but
from the White Wolf from the previous
oh, it's Nick.
Nick.
It's
All right.
it's Nick. Okay, Nick, the White Wolf checking in. Hi, Nick. Thanks for turning up. I appreciate it. Yeah, yeah.
The trees in the ruin are a nice touch, Crosshays. Yeah, it really makes it look like it's been ruined for a very long time.
Yeah, the incarnate had the ruined walls and everything else. A lot of the vines and stuff that are highlighted, those are all bits from Roll 20,
Okay.
and a bunch of the vines hanging off of the ruins themselves are bits from Roll 22.
These ones. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, all that stuff's just stuff I had to add. Yeah, good. Yeah.
Okay, this is a close up of the left hand side of that.
Yeah, the very end, there was a ancient spirit trapped in that tomb at the very end that the party released um,
Treasures.
unwittingly. Once they released, I know they were like, "Oh, look, treasure!" They unleashed the spirit, and that spirit ended up like possessing a witch in the town that they
Whoops.
came from, and that witch like blew the whole like half the town up.
Whoops.
Okay, maybe not half, like maybe like 20% of the town got blown up. So, and then they kidnapped a whole bunch of people that the party had to go save. So,
What's going on over here? This thing in the center.
um, that's supposed to be, and it's kind of got distorted because I did the screenshots after the session. Those were better aligned before as like a weird like secret door.
Ah, okay, okay.
They were, yeah, yeah, they're visible there. They weren't visible before until they discovered the secret door.
Okay.
They're just not well aligned. Um, yeah, good. Yeah, there was some magic dampening crystals in the area they had to blow up and destroy, and um, things like that. Undead guardians, and so on. Yeah,
Yeah, all the good stuff.
yeah,
Okay, and
yeah,
this another isometric farm looking thing.
yeah, yeah. This was I've got this. I don't think I have shared it in any of these photos, but there's a map that is the town that my party's in. In fact, there are some additional photos, but this particular one is the magician. That's his house there in the corner. That's him with the blue smoke in his face,
Okay.
and he's created a transportation
Circle,
circle.
which is this, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, they're
All right.
supposed to transport or teleport basically due east to the dark forest and go after the people that were kidnapped. Didn't work out, but there's the blue crystals that are magic enhancing.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the people, it's an addictive substance for non-magic users. It can give non-magic users the ability to use magic temporarily.
Okay.
But magic users, they smash it up and they snort it like cocaine, and it enhances their magic. And the party's all been like, what's he doing with that stuff? Isn't that illegal? Isn't that stuff bad? And as they piled into the teleportation circle, he like pulls out a big bowl of it and lights it on fire, and he's like, you know, pumping down the smoke from the blue crystals, and then activated the teleportation spell, and it went awry, but whatever.
Remember, kids, don't do drugs.
Yeah, don't do drugs. Never. There was a meteor, just as he's like, and teleport, this meteor came across the sky, which pulled them off course as their spirit energy lifted off to transport, and it pulled them off course. The meteor crashed far to the north, and it's got some stuff going on. That's
Okay.
part of the story too, but I won't talk about it.
Okay. Let's see.
We'll be
Token.
here all day.
That's okay. We've got time. But Token, she's saying, greedy gnome with sticky fingers release the spirit.
Yes, we have a deep gnome, and he's like, "Hey, let's break into this thing." And yep, the spirit got loose because he broke into the
It
thing.
happens. Could happen to anyone.
Yep, you get these players, characters that want the treasure. You just dangle it. It's like a fishing hook. Like, bite it, take it, just take it. And hopefully y'all don't mind. I shared some photos here, but my players and me. Um, the spell that took them off course because of the meteorite took them high into the mountains, and on their way down out of the mountains, they found this cabin in the woods. So,
It looks like
um,
a perfectly non-horrific place to be in, yeah?
no, not at all. Well, we have a vampire, and the little goblin there on the left hand side is a werewolf, and he's the one that bit our player. So, uh, um,
Oh,
again, just trying to set a mood with that picture, like this is where you are, no true mappiness about it, just kind of setting a mood on the
oh,
VTT.
yeah, for sure. I mean, I see
So
that. I'm like, nope, we should not be stopping here.
we should not be stopping here. Yeah. The and then they travel down and out of the mountains. Oh, I'm sorry, you switched back.
Oh, sorry.
No, you're fine. I'm getting ahead of myself. And down further out of the mountains, they cross this bridge and encounter some trouble.
I see some fire
So
over there.
yep, some fire got started. They ended up defeating the villains, taking one of them hostage for questioning and such. So yeah, there were what we ran into was a bunch of bounty hunters that were traveling north to get to the vampire and werewolf that we had just stayed the night with.
Okay.
So, because the vampires and werewolves are be all cliche, they're rival parties. You know, basically, Strahd had two branches that came off of his bloodline, and then he disappeared into the realm that he is in now, where he is lost and can only get through the magic mist. But his children, his two sons, were left behind,
Okay.
and they've created rival houses in the vampire world. So uh, um,
Okay, now I saw this earlier, and
this
I want to know what's going on in the zone because you've got a mammoth, you've got this King Kong thing.
yeah, this was a our druid transformed into the mammoth, if I remember correctly, and our bard transformed into the giant ape.
Okay.
This was I didn't expect it to go this way, but I loved how it played out. Was like they were traveling south on the road, and a green dragon swoops down at them, and they're like, "Oh crap!" So they'll like jump off the wagon and take cover. Um, and our bard, using spells, he like climbs up a tree, uses the spell to bend the tree down, right, to manipulate the tree, and he bends it down, and he's like sitting there like, okay, I'm all ready. And then he released that concentration on that spell and cast a new one as he's now flying through the air because the tree snaps back up, and he's flying through the air, whoosh, and as he's like midair, he turns into the giant ape. And he, as the dragon's coming down, he like catapults himself up in his form, and then he transforms and basically bear hugs the dragon right out of the sky, allowing them to ground and pound the dragon. I didn't, I was like, I didn't expect the dragon to die. I thought it would just like breathe, some gook on him a little bit and then fly away, and they'd be like, "There's a green dragon. Let's go find out where he came from." But they killed him.
Okay, to be fair to you, no one expects a giant flying ape.
Right, right. I was Doug just was like, "I want to do this," and I'm like, "Sounds great." And once he had him down on the ground, and our druid transformed into the mammoth and was like stomping on it as well, stomping on the green dragon. So
Okay.
yeah, and yeah, there's a troll there, but he's on my dungeon master's lair. He was never part of the fight. So
Yeah, I think after I saw the ground and pound, he just decided to go away.
yeah, like, I'm out of here. The and this is part of that town
Mhm.
map. This is the party had gone to attend a wedding of somebody, and some werewolves come busting through. Basically, our druid who'd been missing for a few days comes running back through, and we're all like, get the werewolf, and they go after him, and then like someone's like, that's your buddy. So this is when they enter the house and go down into the crypt, which is where they those tiles I made
Okay.
were for. This was like before times. um
There is
everybody was there.
there is a lot
Mhm.
going on here in this map.
Yeah, I just populated with a crap ton of like NPCs that the party knows and a whole bunch of town folk. So
Okay. So
um
is this guy a mouse with a stick?
yes, that is that's Barty. He rides in the pocket of Chad, the bunny.
The
I
bunny?
know he's not, that's the bunny, whatever they call that in D&D, the hara. Anyway, the bunny
Uh,
folk and the mouse folk.
they're bunny folk.
So yeah.
Okay.
Harangahana.
I have no idea.
I don't
I
even, I just call him the bunny. But
I mean I haven't looked into 5e and whatever. I think the last D&D I played was third edition. I know that they added cat people and dragon people. I didn't know about the bunny people. It's like okay.
yep, I don't remember their name, but yeah, my player, because his druid was missing, I was like, we need you to have a player. So he created this additional character that could be played while his druid was elsewhere.
Okay.
Excuse me. Oh,
Um,
that's Aftermath. That's kind of a spoiler for any of my players that are looking.
ooh,
The
okay.
building is ruined up in the top corner because the grape ape made his appearance again. So
Okay.
he busted up that house.
Kind of like Rampage, the video game.
Yeah, exactly. And
Okay, I
he
think.
went, he dove, he's like, yeah, anyway, he will not go into too much detail.
No, I mean you don't want to spoil if your players are watching. I think
Because
there's
the
at
clock,
least
yeah.
one lurking around.
Yeah, I haven't seen anyone else chat, but and of course there's that map that I created those tiles from. Um
Okay, so Scatter Terrain is saying the cats are tabaxi, and okay, the
Heron gun.
herring gun. Okay,
Yeah.
like
Heron gun.
hair and
Okay.
gun. Yeah, okay, I can
Yeah.
remember hair and gun.
Yeah.
Okay,
I know. It's like, thank God for a good hair day today. I was freaking out. Again, just pictures of the zoomed in.
yeah,
Um,
the other thing. Sorry, the tile set from before, yeah.
yep, yep,
And these
yep. And
the
these next,
yeah, good.
yeah. Okay. This was how I've kind of like morphed my use of the VTT, and I've squared things out with the red outlines, and I use basically a fog of war piece, which is just a black square or black
Okay,
circle, and I cover up the bits that I don't want the players to see. Um,
so at any time your players would only be seeing one of these red squares, for example.
yes,
Okay,
yeah. As I reveal them, I leave them all revealed by the end, but like the session started in the upper left hand corner and then worked its way down. Bloop, bloop, bloop. And you get a better sense of that. And this was just one of my players going on a solo adventure.
okay,
He basically went into a dream state and finds out that his patron had brought him into her realm to speak to him, his patron.
okay,
And that's her there at the end. Whoa.
okay. Spooky.
Big spooky nasty, yeah.
I like the idea that
Um,
this is like kind of the way that a comic book would be laid out. So you've got
yeah,
the
you
flow of the story.
yeah, breaking it down. The next two picks are showing again how it's slowly evolving. We
Yeah.
just recently had this session where they started in this garden and everything else again was covered up with black squid, and I just pop them off. But this is where they were sitting, had their tokens on that screen and everything. Um,
Okay.
and just as they shifted scenes, I just moved their tokens over. And of course, I got some more dungeon master layer stuff showing through the
Okay.
probably like 50% visibility. They traveled from the garden that's in the city to the big part of the city, traveled south to the river town. There was some spooky stuff in the woods. Let's go investigate. So then moved to the woods. Turns out there was this big bear that's actually some wood spirits that are disguised as a bear, and they end up at the witch's
Like
cabin at the end,
like three
witch's hut at the end.
like three wood spirits in a long coat.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Three spirits in a bear coat. Yeah. Uh,
Okay, so basically just using that as the scenes as backdrops to set the mood, like you said earlier, and yeah, rather than
yeah,
a
and just move the
rather than a tactical map
apologies.
kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It just moving their tokens from scene to scene as I pull off the cap that hides it. Um, there
There's
was some
yeah. Go
there
yes.
was
Go
no
go please.
combat in this session, but there is in the next one. So
Okay. Yes, I was going to ask you. In fact, does it change the way you run your games, or because again you can't have tactical combat uh, on a scene like that? Yeah, I guess.
um yeah, it kind of shifted more into theater of the mind, since they're less tactical and
Hmm.
just kind of scene setting. Um for this session they had spoke to that woman, the witch in the hut, and she's like a fey being, and she's like she kind of like giggles and poop transported them like 200 miles south of where they were, along the road, leaving their equipment wagon in town back at the forested town.
Ouch. All right.
Yeah, she's being, just being a prankster. And they go down the to the left is this kind of like wooded hunting trail, but as they went further down, there was a flood recently washed out a bridge, and they interact with the people there who are trying to repair the bridge. They find a crack in the side under the foundations of the bridge that leads into an old tomb, or what was the word I'm looking
Catacomb
for?
or something like that.
Uh, yeah, a catacomb with necropolis of the undead, and it leads to the
Hand, I
very
guess.
end. Yeah, yeah. They come to this cave, and they see up on a raised area a rock had fallen in from the ceiling and broke this stone sarcophagus, and there's an arm that's kind of like the body's kind of like rolled over and half out, and its arm had the hand chewed off, and they kept hearing things moving in the tunnels thinking they were rats, and they did run into some rats, but it turns out that the hand that was on this person has like a ring of restoration, and once it was removed from the body, there was enough residual magic for the ring to reanimate the hand. So, and since the ring itself was kind of in my mind, the ring was the wizard slash whatever, the sorcerer's spell focus. His sort of his mental essence is now alive in the hand, like Thing
Yeah.
from the Wednesday Adams and all that stuff. But they were like, get the hand, and the hand escaped. So, after they had destroyed its body. So I think the hand's mad at them now.
So somewhere in your world, there's just a hand running around you know, people could just run into
Yeah,
this now.
yeah, exactly. This thing's going to be running around. It's got more weight than Thing does, because Thing does jumping around and flying very, I don't know. It's going to be interesting. Squeak, what are you doing, buddy? My cat's getting into stuff. But yeah, I've been trying just morphing my play into that. Granted, the backgrounds are really big. The map scale on Roll20, you got like 50 by 30 squares, and then just laying the maps in there. I'm gonna play around with that some more. So
Okay, Dirty Basement Terrain says, or Evil Dead. Yeah, I remember there's a severed hand running around. I think it's in the third movie.
yeah, and I remember being a kid and seeing like Michael Caine did a movie called The Hand,
I
where
do not remember that one.
his hand had gotten chopped off, and I wouldn't want to spoil any of it, but like the hand is going around killing people. It's like a horror film,
Okay.
the hand is killing people, and the story plays out and you discover what's really going on, and it's, yeah, quite interesting. And I think it was just called The Hand, uh, with Michael Caine. So
Okay, and BGD is saying, from my experience, you can have tactical combat encounters using a proscenium, I'm not sure how to pronounce it, style of background on a VTT, but it is definitely more of a hybrid technique to run one, and zone distances really help. Yeah, okay, so we're not
yeah,
going,
yeah,
yeah, you move exactly 30 feet and then you can shoot exactly 20 feet or whatever, so yeah, kind of fudging the distances like we were saying earlier.
yeah. The first time I tried to use like these kinds of like setting maps and some isometric maps, I on the GM's layer laid out the zones with red lines so that I could track. Um, so yeah, very much using zone combat and theater to mind, and it was kind of fun. All right.
Okay, and I think we went through all these pictures.
Yeah, we've exhausted all those that are on the front, and then all those others. But yeah, we've been talking a while.
Oh yeah, has been
Um,
fun.
um, but like I said, the every time I do craft something, I try to take pictures, which kind of breaks the flow sometimes. But sometimes it's just there and you're crafting, and I'm like, oh, I didn't take any pictures of the process.
I do try to
um,
take some photos, mostly because it helps me plan the video later. But sometimes I'm
yeah,
just
yeah,
like, yep, I am elbows deep in glue and I'm not touching my camera or my mobile or whatever.
exactly. I got Mod Podge all over my fingers, everything. Gosh knows, like Mod Podge and black paint, it just makes this kind of sticky goo. Yeah, and it gets on your fingers. You're like, like rubbing rubber cement off or
Yeah, pretty
something.
much. On the other hand, it is very satisfying to peel it off at the end when it's cured.
Yes, exactly. Get big chunks of it. Big chunks of it.
Okay, so what do you say we have a look at Discord and see what everyone else has been throwing in?
Oh, absolutely. Please. I'd
Okay,
love to see the community showcase, or
off we
is that
go.
what we call it?
Yep. Well, we can't call it Bob
There
if
we
it
go.
makes you happier, but it's all the same. There we go. Okay,
Oh
start
yeah, Earthman. Yay,
Earthman
Earthman
Brick with
bricks.
his post-apocalyptic kitchen.
Yeah, he's putting some really cool stuff together.
Oh yeah.
Um
Okay.
just the patience and the attention to detail. I applaud that. I lack that sometimes, the patience and the attention. I just like, nah. Oh,
I love the textures he makes. Though I am a bit sad because his post-apocalyptic kitchen looks cleaner than my kitchen.
oh my
Than
gosh.
my actual kitchen, I mean.
My kitchen gets really cluttered because I'm terrible at, like I use a dish, wash it. No, I'll just let 8 pile up and then be all frustrated later. Just take 2 seconds to wash the dish you used, anyway. Yeah, I love that. I mean, just like you said, the texturing, the colors, just getting the washes to, yeah,
And the
that's
thing is that
awesome.
most of these are really simple materials like card and wallpaper and the things he manages to pull off with those materials are really fantastic.
Yeah, the little cutting board with a knife on it and
Yeah,
everything. I mean, it's like the just wow. Yeah, good job.
love this.
Hmm.
Okay, this is from Kim from Quizboard Train. Work in progress for the water challenge.
Okay, yeah, that's coming up in May.
Yeah,
Um, is that an actual resin pour with some edging on there, or is that just paint on? It's hard for me to tell from that angle.
I'm not sure if it's resin pour. One sec, let me bring it up on a larger screen. It looks more like some kind of hot glue, I guess, or something, unless it's resin and no hot glue boundary. But yeah,
Yeah, because it looks like maybe a cardboard base. Oh, yeah, that's great. I dig that, and the texturing on the water too.
Yeah,
Um,
so yeah, I'm looking forward to the challenge to see how she did this because it looks really good.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah. I
it
love
does
the
look like it has
color.
a depth to it.
And there's some aquarium plants. Yay.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay, next up is from Cross. Oh, Cross has been a very busy boy.
yes, that is a lot of walls to cut, carve, and paint. Good Lord.
Okay, Kim is saying it's a 5-gallon water jug piece. All right.
Okay. Nice. Nice. Um, Cross, you went to town, buddy. Um, I
Oops.
can kind of relate to that when I was cutting up my cave system based on tabletop witchcraft. Just the sheer volume of cutting and preparing. That is awesome, though. Those look great. I love the colors.
Yeah, I was going to say the different shades of blue and green and gray look really nice.
Yeah, and
Okay,
I'm not sure how tall those. Looks like they're about 3 inches tall, maybe,
I think we have some close-ups here. One sec. Juggling
maybe
windows.
2 inches. That could be 2 inches
Uh,
tall.
two-ish, 1.5, two, but definitely not three.
Yep, there we go. Yeah, we got a good mini on there. Yeah, about
See if I
inch
can
and 3/4.
see if I can reach. Uh, yep. So let's see.
That's
That's about the size of my thumb. No, actually, it might be 3 or 4 inches. No, no, not. It couldn't. Possibly about this size, just a bit thumb size, possibly.
yeah.
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah, that it's a lot of walls, and yeah, I love the colors. Yeah.
yeah. The colors really stand out.
And they're subtle enough that they don't, you know, lean in and like, hello.
Okay, more work in progress from Kim. Questboard terrain.
Oh, goodness. Got those tubes, are those like drinking straws with the ends kind of semi squishy, melted and then bent?
That's what they look like. Some
Yeah,
kind
like
of plastic tube anyway.
yeah, with the ends heated up and stretched out a bit. So looks like we got a mini base, a transparent acrylic base, and then that looks like they're at the bottom, like foam board with some glue and some fancy cutting. Cool.
Okay, I can't tell what this one is yet, but these definitely have the whole underwater plant vibe going.
Yeah. It looks like maybe a splash, a kaplunk, maybe that bottom thing, like something hit the water and
Uh huh.
like she's created a splash. That's maybe looks kind of floral like a lotus flower or something opening up.
Oh, wow. Cross is saying 5 days to process those walls, but only about 6 hours of actual working time. A lot of drying time.
Okay. Yeah. Drying time. Storycraft Society talks and dry.
Ooh, okay. So, more from Earthman Brick coming up. Let's throw these up.
Oh, we just watched that video this morning. Did I watch that this morning or yesterday? I think it was this morning.
I think I saw it yesterday. Yeah, yeah, because he usually releases on Saturday.
Yeah, it could have been yesterday. Probably yesterday that I saw that. Very cool. I do love mechs. Going back to watching Robotech back in high school and being like, ooh, mechs, and of course BattleTech, and then cobbled together mech like this, just totally cool.
Yeah, it's cardboard wiring, bits of sprue. I think these might be pen reefers.
Yeah,
I suspect some of these are cotton swabs because they're still they're still the fiber on the end.
yeah, okay, yeah. The yep. You get those ones from like the Dollar Tree that are like hollow tubes versus the
Uh-huh.
sticks like an actual Q-tip brand.
Okay, this thing around the barrel of the guns was really smart. He explained it to me last time. It's a section of the sheet around the wire.
Oh, okay, yeah, I hear it. Yeah,
So he can slice that off and then replace the wiring with those things to make kind of a barrel around the gun. That's a neat trick to know.
yeah, very neat.
Oh, okay. Bits of MDF kit.
Yeah, MDF in there, cardstock, like you said, um,
Okay.
Q-tip bits,
Spot the cable ties.
wires. That's awesome. I watching that video today. I was just like looking at it. That's just cool as hell. Makes me want to, excuse me, makes me want to make one or something similar.
I totally should.
But you got such a cute face. And again with the painting and the color, it's like, dang, dude, that's just awesome.
I love the details. This is great work, Steve. Okay. Oh, more from Cross.
Oh yeah, the sugar
Towers.
and creamer containers, right? So I post that on the Discord, and I was like, oh, I used to have like a bunch of those that I would keep when I was working for a tele uh, conference company. They
Okay.
just hundreds of those things. Like, we'd have like 50 people on our floor drinking coffee with sugar and cream. Those things would empty out fast. I was like, mine, 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 mine. Um,
I don't have any of those, but I do have about 5 years supply of Pringles cans from about 3 different people, which I
yeah, I
should
get a
pro-
handful of
which I should probably use up because they do take up a lot of space.
They do, right? They do. I like watching like Devs and Dice with Leaf,
Mhm.
how he cut his down the middle and then opened it up, expanded it just
Yeah,
to
yeah,
to
yeah.
break away from that fixed cylinder that, oh, I recognize that's a Pringles can. Um, whereas these are a little better disguised, as not everybody sees those,
Oh, yeah.
empty sugar cylindrical sugar bits. Very cool. I like that. I'm like, is that just foam core cut and wrapped around? Looks like very possibly,
It
or
looks
is
like
it
it, although
something
the
else?
I don't think it's just cut because there's something between in the mortar lines and so on.
Yeah,
Uh,
maybe it's like clay or something that
Possibly.
like like cosplay clay, that kind of foam clay that you can buy for cosplay would be kind
Ah,
of
yeah,
interesting to roll it out and hit it with a roller.
definitely. I mean, it is a it is an interesting material to work with. Okay, more
Yeah, Broken Terrain used it recently to fill some gaps on something I saw. Oh,
for
we got a
gap filling.
tree. Yeah, for gap filling
All right.
on his brickwork. Yeah.
Okay, this
Oh,
is
that's a really
from
nice paint job. Ooh.
Quasi
They're
Fill.
like
Yeah.
Obid High. Nice.
Okay, this is from Gazebo Mimic. I think these are his. He gets sort of these finds from thrift stores or dollar stores or stuff, and he just repaints them. But the makeover he gives them is really good.
Yeah, it looks great.
I like the.
Oh, the
Yeah, go on, please.
No, I'm sorry. You go ahead, Karl.
No, I was just going to say I love the variety of foliage he puts on the bases.
Yeah, that looks. Yes, you've got like that. I guess it's like the ground cover from
Mhm.
one of those brands to create the gravel, and
I think so. Yeah.
some flocking and some moss. Very very nice. Like how it. Oh my gosh, it's just awesome. Again, can't help but be awed by everybody's work. I love that one. Dude's got like a big full head of hair,
Yeah.
basically, and his, I think Obed High, like the druid god from I want to say third edition. I don't
I
know.
think it was third edition. Yeah. Or I mean, it could be I don't know Woodland Bobros or something.
Yeah. Like stumble
Everybody
upon
needs a
that in the
friend.
woods. Yeah, exactly. Stumble upon that in the woods, and he's like, "Hello there, welcome, adventurers." You just see him talking to the people as they come through. It's just the leaf work on those sculpted bits. It's pretty neat too.
Yeah, I mean, it's
Mhm.
considering these are, mass-produced and stuff, the leaf work is quite detailed. Happy Easter, I think.
Yeah, great paint job. Great paint work.
And I mean, something like that, it's pretty easy to cover that up with something else so you can have your own board over there. So this kind of thing is really good to make this kind of terrain.
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
think this is how it
That
started.
uh,
Whoa.
it's like, oh, someone puked on the page, and then they cleaned it up. That's great. That is a fantastic paint job.
Yeah, he hangs out on Dungeon Matrons Discord for the crafting sessions. The before and after is always amazing.
Yeah, those are just crazy.
Okay, let's bring on some more from Steve. And this time it's a post-apocalyptic camping shop.
Nice. Oh, I like the little chair. I've got one like that on my back patio.
One second. This chair.
Yes, yeah, a little barbecue grill and
Okay, so let's see.
like
Those
a
are uh, Mantic terrain crate. Ah, okay, these are from Mantic.
okay, yeah, yeah. Train crates. I've looked at some of those.
Okay, and these are the same thing painted up. I really like how
Yeah,
the sleeping bags because they really look floofy with the paint on.
right. They do look puffy, very puffy. Um, I like how they're color coded, blue and pink. I'm suddenly having visions of like X Jason X when he's in outer space and he's in the holodeck sort of thing. And he's got like the co-eds in the backpacks and he's like slapping them against the tree and like, oh, that hurts. Oh, and he's like, why are they not dying? Because they're holograms.
Okay, then there are these scratch build
Is
bags and gas mask and stuff. Yeah, nice.
Oh yeah, those are yeah, the little first aid kit, backpack, and gas man. Earthman, you're killing it, buddy.
Oh
I
yeah, for sure.
can't wait to see that next video coming out with the hex
Oh yeah, that
slash
looks really
hex crawl
interesting.
stuff. So
I am looking forward
looks
to this
very
one.
cool. Yeah.
Okay, more coming from Questboard Terrain. Ah, okay, these are the same things we saw earlier, but painted up.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Oh, there we go. Ooh,
And
orange and yellow and
yeah,
purpley.
and I like that the inside has got a different color to the outside.
Yeah, I'm
Nice.
curious to how those are made. I really like those. I'm like, can you tell me how so I could make some?
Okay, let's see if there's anything in the chat. Otherwise, I guess we'll have to wait for the video.
That's all good. Definitely subscribed. I am definitely subscribed. Yeah, I like those. Just a great use of whatever it is.
Oh yeah, this arch looks
Ah,
interesting
the
as well. Yeah.
miniature painting.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the miniature painting is just oh, I'm gonna have to like
Oh yeah, and check out this
again
miniature
break
painting.
out my own brushes, but that's awesome. Oh, that's he's all like, yeah, slap into a Slim Jim. But no, that's not him.
Okay, these are
Oh,
also
that
from
is
Questboard Terrain.
those are beautiful. That owlbear looks is that the deep cuts owlbear or is that
I have no idea.
because I know like Hasbro slash WizKids put out an owlbear. It looks similar. But God, I love that. Just great use of color again on the wings. I love how the wings
The different layers
go
of
from
color,
like
yeah?
the yeah, you got like the bare brown body and then like the layers of like a hawk or some sort of raptor
Oh,
sprout out
neat
over the
stuff.
yeah, love it.
Okay, let's see. Okay, more from Cross.
You know, one of my friends painted her first mini was the owlbear, and she killed it. I'm like, how did you do that so well? Oh, nice. Those are some sweet pillars.
Okay, just
Standing stones.
loading them all up, and then we'll go through them.
Yeah. There's that mini for scale because
Yep.
I remember when you had Gareth on from DMG, and you pulled up my lore stone, and he's like, "What are those, like 6 inches tall, or are they just 3 centimeters?" I'm like, "Yeah, there's no mini for scale. I'm sorry." He definitely pointed that out. Oh, those are. I love the paint job on those.
Hmm?
Just the way it picks up very well. Yeah, the dry brushing, just catching that just right.
Okay. And the thing is that you could literally make a table just out of these. Oh, I like the textures on this.
Yeah, the texture's great.
I wonder if there's some kind of paper on top of that, or if it just. I don't think it's just the XPS texture.
Yeah, yeah. It reminds me, like, you see some folks use the like aluminum foil and glue it to something to give
Yeah,
it a
yeah.
crinkly texture. It reminds me of that, but it seems more subtle. But then again, they're pretty tall with that mini there. But yeah, that just
Nice.
those are great.
Okay. Different
Those are
sizes.
sweet too. Yeah, I like the wow.
Oh, sorry.
Again,
The
I feel
detail
like
is
I
really
keep
rich.
saying wow over again.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is amazing. I would have never personally. I wouldn't think to make standing stones that were tall and thin like that. I'm always like they got to be like Stonehenge, thick. But those are I like those. It's like
Yeah, and I'm really interested in the texturing because they're really it's rough, but it's very detailed.
yes. I
Ah, okay. So
well
Questboard Train replied about those coral thingies, just like you said, plastic tubing and heating the ends.
okay, sweet, nice. Thank you.
And the owlbear is bones black.
Okay. Nope, that's not the one I was thinking of. But yeah, cool. I'm gonna have to look for the Bones Black one then. I like that pose.
Okay, let's see. Cross is saying about these layered corrugated and foam core with papier mache over. Oh, okay,
Oh,
nice.
paper mache. Yeah. Which reminds me, I've got a paper mache project coming up. Having seen dirty basement terrains like the worms, I was like, I have my own idea for doing some worms. I'll get those put together soon and share.
Okay, so let's see. More from Cross.
Cross has been at it. He's been working his butt off. Oh, nice. I love it.
Okay, let's see.
Some little ruins.
Oh yeah,
The bricks are more to scale versus the ones I've used. Mine are like cyclopean bricks, those big
I think these bricks would be
ant.
would more to the scale of what you would use in a house or stuff like that. The scales of the bricks used would be more something like for a fortification or for something large like a temple or something like that.
Yeah, yeah. Those bricks are about the size of the ones I used for the fireplace in the foundation of the house I'm working on. So yeah, I got a crap ton of those bricks.
Neat work.
Yeah, very neat. Good job. Good job, Cross. Okay, it's like I gotta find, new ways to say wow without saying wow.
Okay, I think for next one I'm going with holy shit. Holy
Oh,
shit!
yes.
Oh, and this guy is huge.
And I really dig this work. All
Uh,
these kind of like I keep thinking of like wood spirits. What is my cat doing? Sorry.
say again?
My cat is getting hey, Squeak, knock it off, dude.
Hey, it's alright.
All right, he's being a jerk.
Campaign terrain, the bricks are 5 by 5 by 10 millimeters. Yeah, that's the kind of scale I used for the risers as well. It's a nice scale
Okay.
for buildings. But again, uh, this guy down here is a 28 millimeter miniature.
Yes, so that That yes,
It's
very big.
humongous.
It's humongous. I was like, where are you storing these at? I can't imagine. If I had shelf space, I would. That would be. I just wouldn't know where to store that stuff.
So and I really like the mixing of materials here.
Yeah, the way that they're fused together. Getting the twigs to fuse together with
Green stuff and
green
yeah,
stuff
yeah,
and maybe some paper. Is that like a rubber band even? Or some sort of banding.
possibly. Yeah, it could be. The thing is
Okay,
that
it's probably green stuff. Yeah, dude.
when he's done painting these, it's not even going to be visible.
Yeah, yeah. Blend in. Oh, that it's like I don't know how many of these I've seen from him, but every one of them is just like, oh
Yeah,
yeah.
they're all and they're all unique. That's one thing I really love about them because they're all found materials. Okay, next up we have Dirty Basement Terrain. These pics are about 30 years old. 8, not 80, 8 years old, but being Mia mentioned Battletech early in the stream, here goes.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, we're really going down
That's what I'm talking
memory lane
about.
here.
Definitely, definitely. Um, wow. Again, that's the kind of thing I would have liked to have done for BattleTech games back in the day. But oh, we were too busy banging our heads and doing other things than to actually research to improve our game. Let's just play BattleTech. Okay.
Yeah, earlier you mentioned it's like we didn't have the internet back then and whatever, but I remember one of the first people who taught me to build terrain was this guy Angelo, who used to make mostly Battletech terrain. No, actually, I think he only made Battletech terrain. I'm not sure. It's been a while, but he
Yeah.
just sit there and make stuff and so on. And I think that the apart from a couple of magazines here and there, maybe that was how I learned to make terrain.
Oh, yeah. Nice to have that kind of mentor that could get you started.
Yeah.
You know, and then like just like Scotty said in the past, like he came from like the war gaming Warhammer
Mhm.
side, and it started to bring some of that terrain in. I'm like, it was yeah meant to be. So
I mean, it's fun. Everyone should try it sometime. Yeah, but yeah, these hex grids and stuff bring back memories.
oh, for sure. Gosh, I've still got my all that stuff I bought in the '80s. I still have all that stashed. I want to get a 3D printer so I can print all the mechs that I can find, at some point.
Yeah, no, I'm still. Hey, kitty. You know, which one is that?
That is Squeak.
Hey,
He
Squeak.
is the one that's, yeah, the squeaky wheel. Jeez. Okay.
Yeah, I'm still pretty certain I do not want a 3D printer because I don't think I would stop printing if I had one.
Yeah, that would be the danger is like, oh, look, I can print this and this and this and this. I know Nick was talking
Mhm.
about maybe getting one. I was like, I'm going to your place, Someone else, Linda, one of my other players from several years ago, she's got a 3D printer and she printed out, one of those dragons that stands, two,
Oh,
three
whoa, all
feet
right.
tall.
Whoa.
Yeah, she printed out all the little individual pieces and glued it all together. I'm like, dang. Oh, good times.
Yeah. So yeah, I think I stick to manual carving and stuff for the moment.
Yeah. Well, yeah, speaking of like carving like Nat one with his carving those pink foam
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
dwarven statues. I'm like, how? How?
I mean, Mike has been doing wood carving a long time before he started crafting terrain. So I think there's a lot coming from there. But I
Yeah. Oh, don't you freaking Godzilla back there trying to destroy the settlement. Okay. We'll just put this someplace safe.
yeah, but
that'll do for now.
Yeah, I do think he's got some older videos on his channel where he's explaining like the different types of cut and how to hold the knife and so on. So yeah, I think it's literally a question of habit at that point.
Yeah, yeah. I'll have to look back over his channel or something. I mean, cool, cool.
But yeah, oh, whoa, okay, we're going into 3 hours here.
Yeah, I like I said, I could talk and talk, and I appreciate you having me on, Carl. I
Oh,
didn't
it's been a
expect that we'd go 3 hours, but
yeah, that's okay. It's been fun, and anytime you want to come back again, more than welcome.
I appreciate it. Thank you. And thank you everybody for coming in. I get we're winding down, but yeah, thank you everybody that joined to watch and listen
Yes.
in. My
Uh,
mom was gonna maybe join on her phone. Hopefully she's out there somewhere.
Hi, Miasma.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, it's been a pleasure talking to you, and no, seriously,
Thank you, Carl.
your work is inspirational because yeah, there's so much of it, and it's really high quality. So yeah, that's love the
I
stuff.
appreciate that. I appreciate it. I'll keep building, and if I can inspire others, that's great while I'm being inspired by it's like creative merry-go-round. Like, you know, I did this, they did that, I did theirs, they did mine. It's all great. This zigzag pattern of like who's influencing who, and with the Discord and the meetups and stuff, and just the exchange of ideas. Just like I have like a huge backlog now. Thanks, everybody. I appreciate that. I'm going to be busy for quite a while.
Oh yeah. Well, are you ever not busy? Eh.
What's that?
Are you ever not busy?
Uh, no. I admit it. I'm pretty lazy a lot of time. I am a TV junkie. I spend a lot of time sitting there. I'll put on something I've watched like 10 times in the craft, of course, because I can just listen and visualize. But sometimes I'll sit there on the couch for hours and not do a damn thing but watch TV. I admit it.
Yeah, I call it recharging the crafting battery.
Yeah, yeah, right. I'm gonna watch, Lord of the Rings, the extended cut for the 20th time. Okay. The Hobbit extended cut, which it's a little too much, but the Battle of the Five Armies and the extended cut, oh yeah.
Okay, yeah, Battle of the Five Armies. I still have bad memories of that movie. It's like I look, guys, goats are not motorbikes. You cannot use goats
Right?
like motorbikes. I know they look cool, but they're not motorbikes.
Yep. They're not motorbikes. But yeah. When Conley's voice came in, he's like, oh, the dwarves,
Oh
like
yeah,
that's
that was the most dwarven moment in any movie ever.
yeah, it like took me, it like yanked my brain from the fantasy world and just pulled me right back into reality. Because I don't know how many times I've watched him do stand up, and he's amazingly funny, but his voice just screams modern world.
Yeah,
Like seeing Jack, yeah,
no,
like
sorry.
seeing Jack Black in The Mandalorian. Like, no, don't
I,
do that to
I I
me.
haven't watched that episode yet. I'm way behind on the
Oh,
Mandalorian. But sorry, I'm just imagining the Dwarf King going like, "They killed baby Jesus."
no. Oh, so bad. So bad.
Yeah, yeah.
Hey, thank you again, Carl. I
Hey,
really
you're welcome,
appreciate
and thank
you
you so much for joining
grabbing.
us.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Okay, and thanks everyone for watching, and we'll be back next week with Landvettersler. So have a great week, everyone. Bye.
Bye, everybody. Happy Easter Day.
Happy Easter.